Fire it up, footballers. Got a lot to talk about. Ronaldo and Man United divorce official. United States taking on England, not themselves, on Friday. We're also going to look back upon the Canada-Belgium game. And we're going to talk about some of these upsets that we've seen. Japan, 2-1 over Germany. Saudi Arabia, 2-1 over Argentina. And we'll talk about the difference in those matches that I saw and that you guys saw. Let's get into it, everybody in the live chat. Thanks for joining us live here on Spin Fire. Kick that like button. Kick it like it's a penalty kick in the middle of the World Cup. And you're not Alphonso Davies. And instead, you are Gareth Bale. And you bury that goal to give your team the much-needed goal. How y'all doing, everybody? What is going on? Yeah. I am so excited for this upcoming Friday game with England. Before the World Cup started, I was dreading it. I didn't think we'd have a chance. After what I saw in that first game from the U.S. men's national team, I have hope. Not, ginormous amounts of confidence. Like, I'm like, oh, yeah, we got this. No. I think we have a chance. And I'd be curious to know if you guys agree with me that they do have a chance against England. Whether or not it's a small chance, a sliver of a chance, or something more than that. A puncher's chance. I don't think they have a puncher's chance. I don't see a 50-50 out here between U.S. and England. I see more 70-20. England could more likely to pull off the win. Tie, of course. Tie or a win for England seems the most likely outcome. And then the least likely outcome, U.S. a win. Hello.
Hello.
UPG!
Hey, how's it going?
What's going on, brother? How was that game for you? I know you wanted to touch back on the Wales game. I know you didn't get to weigh in on your piece, so let's get DPG weighing in on the Wales US game.
Yeah, so anybody that thinks that Walker Zimmerman is a really good center back that should be a starter for the U.S. men's national team is delusional and over optimistic. You know how we were talking about how that European experience plays a role in making players better? Mm-hmm. You kind of saw that firsthand. First of all, who the hell tackles between the legs inside the box? First,
Walker Zimmerman does.
Walker Zimmerman does. Anybody, knows better than to try to go into a guy between his legs inside the box, because chances are 90% of the time you're going to touch him and he's going to fall and the ref is going to call a penalty automatically. So that's my biggest, I don't even know why Zimmerman's even starting
over Primer Carter Vickers.
Yeah, you're putting a guy there that just because he does really good in the MLS doesn't mean he's gonna do really good against real competition in an international stage. And it goes back to what I was saying. One thing is when you're beating teams like Costa Rica, Honduras, Mexico. Another thing is when you're playing against teams like Wales or soon to be England and a international competition. Teams tend to perform differently in international competitions. Some teams actually even overperform in international competitions. We just saw that a few days ago with Saudi Arabia and Argentina.
I want to get into that a little later, but because I'm actually not sold on that one. But the Japan, German, that one seems real.
Yeah, so you think about that. There's teams that overperform in the World Cup, and there's teams that underperform in the World Cup. And clearly, from what we saw on Monday, England's not going to underperform in this World Cup. The United States is looking like they're going to underperform in this World Cup. I used to always say, like, you know what? A couple of years ago, way back, I used to say, you know what, MLS guys, I have a good feeling that MLS guys will be able to hold their own in the international stage against top teams. But I don't think I longer believe that anymore, because I feel that experience that some of these guys get in Europe, you cannot compare that to playing against LA Galaxy or against Raw Salt Lake or New England Revolution. You're not going to get experience.
I mean, where do the majority of Japan players play? Japan's got a couple players in German league, I think, but
yeah, a lot of their players actually tend to play overseas. But the J League is probably the best league in Asia. I mean, think about that. It's probably actually, you know what? I think that might be the highest ranking league in Asia.
And what would you say is the best league in North America?
Oof, it's beginning to look like MLS is overtaking Liga MX. If you would have asked me this a few years ago, I probably would have told you hands down Liga MX. Just because they don't deal with a lot of the stuff MLS teams deal with, like salary caps and all these dumb rules about designated players and whatnot. They don't deal with that, so they can really bring good talent from overseas, and a lot of them tend to bring a lot of South American talent to fill up the ranks. So, I mean, I don't think in our area in the CONCACAF, I don't think, like, if you were to put up the best MLS team against the best J League team, I don't know. I think the J League team might actually beat the top best MLS team.
They'll compete. It'll be competitive, but I mean, what we just saw today, I think is Saudi Arabia beating Argentina. I mean, that blows up your theory. But the Saudi Arabia Argentina, I don't believe is true. The Japan.
Well, this is what I said. This is what I said, that there are teams that that overperform in the international stage, and I think this is going to be one of those tournaments where you're going to have all these random teams overperforming, and it's not like this is something new. We've seen this happen in past World Cups. We saw it with Costa Rica in 2014. We saw it with look at Croatia or Serbia. Look what they did in 2018. You have those teams that overperform and they become giant killers. At the same time, those teams don't tend to make the mistakes that Walker Zimmerman did against Wales.
Walker Zimmerman that was his only mistake though of the game. Other than that, he played pretty stellar. Tim Ream was fantastic. The whole team looked really good in general. Well,
the one thing that's kind of cracks me up is, the U.S. had, I don't even know how many crosses they had into the box, but they had no idea what to do with it once it was crossed. It's basically, they look like a team out of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, like I mentioned before, like I'm not expecting this team to go far. I don't think this team is there yet. They have the tools.
I was surprised that it looked like they had an idea. I'm so used to the Chicago Fire just being identityless that when I'm watching the U.S. men's national team, they're always a surprise. And they have an identity. They have a way they're playing. Just like Canada today has a way that they're playing. Although some people are saying Canada might be more successful, but I debate that because Canada didn't get the result or a goal, and meanwhile the United States did.
Well, here's the thing: Canada had a golden opportunity, and they screwed that up.
Yep.
So the U.S. screwed up because one of the players screwed up. It's one of those things. Is like, Gareth Bale has way You know, Gareth Bale has been around the game for a long time, and he's been around the game in the top leagues in the world. You know, he knows how to play the game, and he pretty much played Zimmerman. He pretty much forced him to do that tackle, to make that decision, and he knew what was going to happen. So, you know, Zimmerman should have done better than read that. You know, instead of tackling a guy because you think you're going to beat him, you're facing Gareth Bale. You're not facing, you know, some random guy in the MLS. This is not just, you know, any person. This is Gareth Bale. The guy played in Real Madrid. The guy played in Tottenham. He knows how to play the game.
He's played some of the most important minutes of soccer in the last century. If you really think about it, because he's winning championships with Champions Leagues with Real Madrid.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that, and this is like, I know Zimmerman had a pretty good game, but I think that overconfidence might have played a role in that decision. He figured, okay, well, I've been defending pretty well. You know, I'm gonna try this. This should work. And obviously, it didn't, because everybody knows you never tackle between the legs inside the box. You just don't do that.
I don't know what he was thinking. I mean, but he did it, and he tried to. He in his head he was like, if I touch that ball, they can't penalize me. And you know what? I mean, we can't crucify that guy because all the greats have done it, and they'll put it through. But here's the thing: they're doing it in the most important moments, because this is their most tested moments, where a lot of those other players, and here's to your point, have been tested like that before.
Yes,
on that
exactly.
big scales. That happens like in the Champions League, those high pressure moments.
Yep. And it's like, you know, if one thing is like, if this was like Paolo Maldini or Franco Baresi, you know, making that kind of tackle, you know damn well that they probably, you know, they've been in that situation. They know what to expect. At the same time, they also know how to avoid being penalized. Because you mentioned, you know, the greats. And
they've been in that situation, like you just said. They've learned from it, like what they could do and what they can't do. Here's Walker Zimmerman stepping into one of his biggest international match of his career. I mean, all these guys, even for Pulisic, that was the biggest, because he's never been to a World Cup before.
Exactly. And
Well, they got to get experience somewhere, though. I mean, and that was a great showing for the experience levels that I think that Walker Zimmerman has.
I mean, any way you take it, like, obviously we all wanted the 3 points. I wanted the 3 points.
Like, what do we change there to get 3 points? Is Walker Zimmerman the guy we change? If we put in Cameron Carter-Vickers, you're saying we get 3 points out of that match?
If we're going with top league experience, with you know, Cameron Carter-Vickers would probably be your guy.
Right?
You know?
That's a good point.
Because think about it, I know a lot of the U.S. men's national team players were complaining about the ref, and the ref was horrible.
Bale was complaining about the ref.
You know, and the thing about it is that MLS refs are horrible too. Me and you have seen that. You know, and it's, you know, it's one of those things where the ref was always going to call that. It's like there's no way of getting away from that. Like, and I mean, maybe Zimmerman probably gets away with it in MLS, and in a regular MLS game. We've seen calls get uncalled because MLS is so bad. But now when you're playing in the international stage, you tend to get the best of the best sometimes. And I say that sometimes with a exclamation point, because we've seen some games lately where the ref has been kind of atrocious. The refereeing's been atrocious.
The refereeing has been atrocious, I think, in most games. It makes me question who they picked in going Why was that inexperienced ref picked for the US Wales game? These guys, they need to be coming from old experience. They need to be paid. They shouldn't be new. They shouldn't be great, because all these guys are going to fall privy to the influence bug. All it takes is one Saudi Arabian guy walking in, and he could promise them a fuckload of money that he could take care of their family and influence these games. And I swear to you, that is happening. That is happening at this World Cup, whether we want to believe it or not. Not every game, but it's a lot easier to sway newer refs than it is to sway older refs.
So yeah, that's actually a good point, because you're probably not going to be able to sway a guy that ref that from the Premier League, right?
Right.
You're probably going to be able to sway a guy that
well
comes from
paid, who doesn't have to worry about his next paycheck. But this guy,
Exactly.
he just hit the golden ticket. This is his golden parachute. This is his $1 million lotto ticket. Of course, he's gonna 1 or 2 games. He's gonna get an extra little boat here, or a trip to the United Emirates here, or maybe a private jet here. These guys, the thing is, the Saudi Arabians and the Qataris have that money to sling around. We see it with the Live Golf League. You don't think that the Saudis would? I'm sorry, you got Toke. I got to read chat. Chat. Oh my God, chat. I'm sorry. I'm just checking into chat here. I'll catch up. But Tokyo, we got the chat open if you want to slide in. But go ahead.
But you're right. It's not only just Saudi Arabia and the Qatari refs. We're talking about refs from across the world that don't, unfortunately, they probably come from humble leagues, so to speak, and and sometimes those are the kind of leagues that tend to have problems paying officials. So, imagine someone that came up to you and said, "Hey, I'll give you $100K if you just make a few calls, in favor of this team."
You don't even have to call a win. They don't even have to win. That's
Nope.
the thing. They just need a couple calls to go their way, a couple things to go their way, and that's what I see. Man, nobody wants to talk about it. To me, it's the ugly NFL in the room. It's very uncomfortable to talk about match fixing, but it's happened in past World Cups. 1978, we're talking Argentina and Peru. 1982, we're talking West Germany and Austria. These are on the books. And in 2006, we got France and Brazil. Supposedly, Brazil took a massive payoff from France to lose to them and to let France through in that game. So this makes me wonder about that Saudi Arabian game. Like, here you are, Argentina. You could afford to lose a game. You could easily lose a game and make up the rest of the group and pocket a cool billion. Because don't you think, for the Saudi Arabians who want to raise their profile in world soccer, they wouldn't pay $1 billion to Argentina's government or the background books? Because, guys, soccer is government money too. There's so much government money in soccer and other parts of they grease palm. There's so much craziness when it comes to that stuff. It's an uncomfortable topic, but I think that's what happened with Saudi Arabia and Argentina. I don't think that's what happened with Germany and Japan. But maybe the ref was influenced. I don't know. The German players were trying. Argentina players, they were not trying. I could see the acting. It was just felt like an acting job from the start. I'm sorry, I gotta let you talk. And I also got chat to weigh in. I'll weigh in on chat after your thought.
Wait, so one thing is I want to say is that Tokyo needs to get on,
Heck yeah.
Discord. Because it's been a while since I talked to that guy. And on top of that, to your point is, it might not even be a payoff. Some of these guys have a political chip on their shoulder,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes politics plays a role in this. Didn't the Justice Department pretty much clean house at FIFA?
They apparently withheld the investigation in order to get them the World Cup bid. I've read that too. All right, I'm gonna catch up to chat here. We got Brother BKL. What's up? Saying, hey, what's your thoughts on the last game between Belgium and Canada? We're definitely going to talk about Belgium and Canada. a little bit more here. Belgium, I think, has kind of played a bad game. Canada, disappointed is my initial thoughts before we get into that. But that's just my initial thoughts. We'll pin that for now. But also saying, I was thinking the same thing when I watched Japan. When I predicted Japan to win, it was because when I watched USA Canada, and Canada, we know exactly what we watch and how they perform. They got a better roster than we thought. And FC Neo Tokyo saying, is DPG being negative again?
I'm being realistic, man. I'm being realistic. If you want to go on that hill and die on your hill, by all means, go ahead.
Brother BKL saying, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just going to say, it's going to be more disappointment on top of the fire disappointment.
Right, you're just trying to save us some of that disappointment, trying to save us that hurt. I think we need to try runner-up and lose against England and win against Iran, so become second in the group. We got to try and win all these games, in my opinion. But also exactly, that's a fact, Spitting Fire. I think he was talking about when we're talking about these refs that are able to be influenced, and it's an uncomfortable thing that I don't think enough people are talking about. And I truly think that's what happened in the Argentina game. There's no other reason. There's no other way. Argentina's players' grandmothers could beat Saudi Arabia. I'm just like, it doesn't make sense to me.
I think they were still jet lag.
Do you think that's what it was? Because like, I thought I saw players not trying. I think I saw players collecting a nice little bonus paycheck and then a nice little warm-up game, and then they get to come back the rest of the games, making up enough points to move on, and then it's just a blip in the radar, and also a nice cool 150 million in the bank.
Hey, Hummus, is it libel or slander when it's said
it's
versus
alleged.
written?
I'm saying it's alleged.
Here we go.
What's going on, guys?
What's going on? We got Tokyo sliding in. What's up, Toke?
I'm not here for a long time, but I'm here for a good time, man. Just
let's go.
sliding in to say hey. I heard somebody say they called the Japan game, so did an otter. So
did an otter.
You know, but dude, I have greatly enjoyed watching from the sidelines your flat earth style campaign about the Argentina Saudi Arabia game. I will say that,
dude. It something struck me as weird about that game. When I watched both those games, when I watched the German game and I watched the German loss and I watched the Saudi Arabian win, the German loss makes sense. The Saudi Arabian Argentina win does not add up. Like that first goal for Saudi Arabia, absolute farce. Absolute farce. Every single Argentina player was like, ooh. Then the goalie was like, he did the absolute, I can do that same kind of move where you leap in place and you throw out your arms and it looks like you moved. It looked like such a fixed goal that I've seen before.
Where was his weight on the start of that? You know what I mean? What direction was he headed on the start of that play? Like, why play the games if you don't trust that the outcome can be an outcome, man?
That's true, but that's what I'm saying. I can doubt the integrity of this because in the past, there's reason to believe that to doubt the integrity of these games in past World Cups, and Argentina has been on the wrong end of that before too. So
you know what's gonna be funny? What's really gonna be funny is that somehow Argentina makes it to the final.
Right, and then you forget about this.
Yeah, we'll forget all about this. Yeah, oh yeah, we'll forget all about it.
I won't, because that'll be part of my theory. It's part of my theory. They make a cool billion from giving Saudi Arabia a win, take home the tournament. Messi gets promised the tournament, basically, that, the refs will make all the right calls for you later on in the tournament. You just lose the Saudi Arabia game. We got you taken care of the rest of the way.
The refs have not been great. And I was lucky enough to be on with you after the U.S. game to talk about poor refereeing. But like, what's the answer, man? Like, yeah, I like VAR, but what would have been the alternative? The ref just making the call on the field.
A more experienced ref. A more experienced ref from the Premier League, from the top 5 leagues, when they talked about this ref, they were saying this is his first big time match experience like this. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this guy's getting a payoff. Why would he not? It's just like,
Well, how else do you get experience? It's like trying to be a barista and they talking about you need 5 years experience for an entry level job. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Well, I mean, you
Like-
could start them off slowly too. You could like, hey, maybe I won't put you in this high stakes game. How about we start off at the qualifying level? How about you go ref UEFA qualifier or something like that?
Well, obviously he ref qualifiers, but like, let's be honest, man. Like, was this not the most cupcake game for a referee to have? So, like,
Yeah.
Argentina
I mean,
should have just, it should have been lopsided. Like, you know what I mean? This was a cupcake game. Like, oh, you needed the most experienced ref at games like
It was easy
Poland,
calls.
Mexico,
Yeah, you're
US.
right.
You know
there was
what I mean?
no difficult calls that game. It
Oh,
should have
here-
been all layups.
Keep in mind the ref was from Qatar, and obviously they have a chip on their shoulders because I'm pretty sure they probably heard the U.S. probably label them as, okay, well, they bought their World Cup.
Qatar likes USA for sure.
So
I don't
does everybody. Like, do you think Germany just got it because they love their heritage? No, dog. They had to pay for it too, man. Everybody just buys it.
Well, I
That's
think
why
I think it, I think it used to be like that at one point. We have to wait and see what happens later on, because the U.S. just like I mentioned earlier, a couple of years ago, the Justice Department was investigating FIFA, and coincidentally, we get the World Cup for 2026. And then now we have to see what happens. Who's gonna get it in 2032 or whatnot? So if it's a random place, like if it's not like if it's like some random place at the end of the world, I at that point it's like, okay, these guys are taking a cut.
Well, aren't there all sorts of weird bids too? Like a Bavarian one with like Germany, Netherlands, and Holland, and
Yeah,
like
they're
all like there's all these joint bids, man. Like it's just, I don't know. It's gonna be weird no matter what it is. And apparently it's going to North Korea. If you
God.
listen to him,
No way.
no way.
We already did South Korea Olympics, didn't we?
Yeah, the only way it goes to the North Korea is if the Korea is unified, under a South Korean regime. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. That is the only way I see it.
Yeah, I don't. Can you imagine? I don't even think they have the logistical capacity to handle everybody. All the traveling tourists, and
oh, you think anyone would be allowed in?
or that too. Imagine the vetting process. Imagine the vetting process just to get into North Korea.
Oh God, no, thank you. I already just
And
I
not
don't
only
like
that,
going to the DMV.
and not only that, I think based on what I've seen a couple of documentaries on, like they literally chaperone you the whole entire time, so you cannot just wander off and go visit some random town and in North Korea. They like literally hold your hand the whole entire time. Like, okay, we're gonna go here now, or we're gonna go here now, or look how beautiful the store is. We in North Korea make all these great products, even though half the stuff is probably imported.
I hear you, but like back to the main point, which is the allegations. Like, I don't know. Like, I definitely know that there is more money in sports now than there was before. So you would think maybe it's worse off. But part of my thought process is there's only so many Messis and Lewandowskis and stuff. Like, they may have people in the top 5 leagues, but they're scattered all over all the teams from relegation battlers to mid-table to the top dogs. So, like, isn't it more pertinent for you to have a good game and a good World Cup to get that fat transfer fee opposed to taking a dive? Because not only you only get that one check, whereas you get a fat transfer fee and then you perform, you get another fat transfer fee. You know what I'm saying? Is it not more beneficial to you to play well than it is to dive?
For me, this was their warm-up game. In their heads, they think that they're going to get enough practice that they could pull it off, that it's not going to matter. It's their warm-up game. It's the first game. They could lose 3 points on one game, but they have to win out the rest. And if they're made certain assurances, say like, oh, the ref will definitely look your way a little bit more the rest of the way. We'll make sure of it. In fact, we're going to try and make sure you get to the finals, because we know we're Saudi Arabia. We know we aren't going to go to the finals, but if we beat you, it'll mean so much to our country. And it meant so much to their country. It really did. And that I think that they paid it for it. And the way that those players played, that was not normal. The way the Germans players played against Japan, That was normal. There was failures. Japan has good players. Saudi Arabia has nobody. They have no fucking buddy.
I think the whole entire team plays locally and in their country's league. I don't think any of them play outside of Saudi Arabia.
But again, aren't MLS players of the level also? You know what I mean? Like domestically, we've had this discussion until we've been blue in the face. Domestic versus top 5 leagues, right? You can have a very solid career being a winner in a domestic league, being a small or a big fish in a small pond, and still hone your skills. You know, Landon Donovan was not in any way, shape, or form a lesser player, despite him sacrificing his actual career to help build American soccer.
Yeah, but he also went abroad and all that kind of stuff. But that's not my point.
It didn't work out abroad.
My point is that Saudi Arabia sucks donkey balls. Sucks donkey balls. They're not good. And Argentina is literally the best team in the world. Their grandmas could have beat Saudi Arabia with their favorite kitchen spoons tied behind their back. That's how bad Saudi Arabia is, and that's how much talent is coming out of the balls of Argentinians. It's just not, it doesn't make sense for me, and I'm telling you that they took a payoff for them. They're good enough that they have enough talent to lose that first game, take $1 billion, each one makes a cool, 50, 100 million. They're set for life additionally, and they're going to take home the World Cup too.
I'm just not naive, but I have to believe in some things. Like
I don't want to believe it's true. It's alleged.
Lester was magical. Brady Anderson can hit 50 home runs one season. Like, I need to believe in some things.
It seems more likely to me that they lost for money than they lost at all. That's my real thing. That seems more likely to me that they lost for money than they actually lost at all to a team like Saudi Arabia. It's a different opponent. I'd be feeling differently about it. But the Saudi Arabia opponent is just no. There's just too much money. They have too much disposable income. Every live golf could tell you that they have too much disposable income because they're paying for them for over billions of dollars for the live golf league. And one soccer win that changes the soccer rate of their nation. And that's absolutely worth it for these guys. And for Messi and for all these other guys, it's worth it too. Like, it's a win-win situation. They get practice, they get warmed up. All they need is 6 points, 4 points, and they're through. I just have a hard time believing that they lost for no money than they lost for money. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what it is.
Maybe I'm a crazy person, but I don't think Argentina is quite as front runner as everybody seems to.
The third best team in the world that hasn't lost since 2019. Also the Copa America, whatever, the South American champions. Are you kidding?
I still think Brazil's better.
And they have the GOAT player, Leo Messi. Come on, man. I'm not trying. This isn't Saudi Arabia I'm talking about. This is Argentina. This is the best team in the world. Them, France, are definitely up there. Spain looks really good.
The thing about it, guys, you guys keep forgetting is that there's surprises.
Yes, that's the other thing. I will have to accept that too. Like, I could be very wrong.
And there's always the possibility that the team that everybody bets on is not going to win. Mm-hmm. We saw this happen with...
Why else did they play the games?
With France in 2002. We saw this with... Well,
I mean, every winner since 2002 is bounced out of the group stage, right? I mean, Brazil's the last
Germany got kicked out of the group stage last tournament, too.
Wait, did they win? Yeah, they won in 14. You're right. But yeah, same thing.
Italy. Not even in the World Cup right now.
Italy can't even make it, dude. Like, the last two, I can't believe they missed the last two. That's kind of wild.
And didn't they win, like, something in between?
They won the Euros.
This is your time.
In between missing. That's nuts. That doesn't make sense. That speaks to a team failure, or does that speak to match fixing? I don't know.
Well, look at Egypt. They won, 2 or 3 African Cup of Nations in a row while missing 2 World Cups. You know?
Yes, and USA also missed.
You're right. They won a Gold Cup and missed. Yeah, I mean, shit happens, but I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm not naive, but there are some things to be able to believe in, but
The sanctity of the World Cup is not one of them, trust me, because it's happened before.
Oh, it has. Well, that's why all the games, all the third games of the group stage kick off at the exact same time.
Right.
It's wild, man.
And it's unfortunate that my mind even has to go there. I didn't want to go there, but then I saw their effort. And then my mind just couldn't help but go there. I'm like, and then you bring up the point, and maybe they're jet lagged. All right, that's possible. That could explain their lack of their seeming morose level of effort.
Oh man, so I have to apologize. I did not hear any of the beginning part of this show. DPG, did you have fun on Tuesday watching the game? Or was that Monday? It was Monday.
That was Monday. Monday, come on.
Oh,
So, I was watching the game, and as I mentioned before, this is why experience, plays a huge role in how a team functions and how players make decisions. And clearly, Walker Zimmerman hasn't had enough experience on the top stage to know that you never tackle a guy between his legs in the box.
why even go to ground? By the way, just why even go to ground during that game? The way that game had been called to that point, why even go to ground? I would have taken 100 times out of 100 Gareth Bale turning him, burning him, and scoring over a penalty.
With how many people were behind him, right? There was.
Well, not even. I don't even care if he even if he posterized them, megged them, and smashed it upper corner. Would not care nearly as much as the fact that they gave up the penalty.
Well, and that's the thing too. I think in his head, he probably thought, well, I've gotten away with it in the past, which MLS refs tend to be garbage anyways. And we've seen calls like that missed all the time. That he figured, okay, I'll do it here.
But Premier League is lets them play too. That's a pretty darn rough league.
Yeah, well, he's not in the Premier League. He plays in MLS, and you have a Qatari ref that is probably at his biggest game of his life, and he's gonna try to make the right call. It's not like did he even go to VAR to check it out?
There was no need. He nailed it literally immediately.
And on top of that, Gareth Bale, he's played in some of the best leagues in the world. He knows how this game is played. In some of the
biggest games.
Yeah, he knows how the game is played. He knows.
I know that's the man that won MLS Cup. Can you believe it?
Yeah, well, besides
oh my gosh.
Well, look at that. He won. He's the one that scored the deciding goal. And that's the thing is, Zimmerman, maybe five times out of 10, he might get away with that in the MLS, but he's not gonna get away with something like that in the World Cup. So unfortunately,
but not that game, not the way that game had been called up to that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I don't know. And on top of it, it was like it's a whole bunch of crossing around. Like the U.S. was like just crossing and crossing and crossing, but there was nobody in the box that could get that last touch. And it's like
the final ball was missing. The only person who crossed well the entire game was Yedlin. Like the whole first half, that final ball was missing. Because how many times did we see in qualifying crossing over to Pulisic for a header or stuff like that? Like it just that final ball was still missing, and it killed us because we could have very easily been up 3-0 at halftime. But yeah, I don't know, man. I had a good time watching the game. I've already talked about
Absolutely.
that.
It was a fun game to watch. It was unbelievable. Made me very happy.
So you catch going down the Navy Pier on Friday or no?
No, I'm not going. It's
no.
gonna be crowded. There's Black Friday shoppers. Downtown's gonna be packed. I lived in the city long enough to avoid downtown.
Hell yeah.
Fair. I went down there in 2014 when they had the big watch parties at Grant Park and stuff, and I had a good time doing that. But yeah, I definitely was not planning on doing the Navy Pier thing. especially day after Thanksgiving. That's gonna be a madhouse.
Nah, I might stream that. I might stream that game, watch it on here, and kick it. Sounds like a good one.
I was hearing that there was all these soccer bars around the city were packed. There was a line outside the door at a Globe Pub. So, I mean, if you want to go, stand in line and waste your time and overpay for your beer, that's fine. That's if that's what you do, that's fine. But nothing beats staying at home, hanging on your lazy boy, eating your own pizza, and drinking.
Being able to smoke when you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair, very fair. I get both though. I get a streak in me sometimes where I love public chuckle fuckery, but yeah, I think this World Cup will be enjoyed in the comfort of my home.
That's a good way to put it.
Are you gonna be eating your vegan pizza too?
Streaky.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You're gonna be eating your vegan pizza with your fake cheese and your fake sauce and your fake bread.
Why is the sauce gotta be fake? And the bread, you can make that shit vegan, no problem.
Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that pizza sauce has Parmesan cheese in it sometimes.
Sometimes, but not when you make your own sauce, bro. When you roast those tomatoes yourself, when you season that stuff yourself. Come on now.
You gotta put meat in the sauce because that's the flavor right there. You never seen Goodfellas? When they're making the sauce, the old man's like, yeah.
There's a lot of things in Goodfellas that I would not base my life decisions on.
Oh, of course, but it's just that meat adds that extra flavor, man. It's that.
So was Goodfellas taking place like in the 1950s?
60s.
No, that was like the 60s. Yeah, dude. My boy from back in high school has a deathcore band, and they call themselves Billy Bats. I love it. I'm like, that's the best name for a band.
Guys, do you know that if USA beats England on Friday in a World Cup game, that it wouldn't be the first time?
Is this your degenerate corner? You gonna tell us how much you're gonna make off of that?
Well, back in 1950, June 29th.
There we go. Location story here.
U.S. national team defeated England 1-0 in Brazil. Harry Q, the star, said, "We never dreamt in our wildest dreams or thought like anything like this was possible." It just goes to show you that the game was 1 in a million. You hustle and you hold off a team for a while, but you usually don't hold off a team that's much better than you for as long as we did.
Dude, it happens all the time.
Can USA do that? That's what Japan did today. I think in a World Cup game, that's when it's possible.
I mean,
no, you don't. You just accused the Saudis of paying for it.
Yes, but I said I didn't accuse Japan.
Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. England is looking scary, okay? I'm just going to be honest. They're looking scary.
I mean, 6 goals to USA's 1 goal. Yeah,
true, but a game can get out of hand pretty fast. You give up 2, you might as well give up 6. You know what I mean?
And this US team doesn't look like, after the first goal, I think they'll collapse. Just saying.
They don't tend to. That's where like Monday was so weird.
See, that's the thing. They don't tend to against CONCACAF teams.
Uh-oh.
They're not gonna collapse against a team like Costa Rica or Honduras or Mexico.
I worry that US fans might be underestimating Slabhead. Harry Maguire. The US I've seen him getting the Raz, and they're like, "Oh, he's not." I'm like, he's still way better than anybody in America has.
Like, here's the thing. There's US fans that think that we're gonna beat England. There's US fans that think that we're gonna go into the semifinals. But then those US fans probably only watch soccer in the World Cup, or probably only watch MLS, or vice versa. They only watch the Premier League. So, it's a mixed bag.
They're going to, but I think they can. You know what I mean? It's a possibility. It's not like going to be a world shocking.
Obviously, anything's possible. I mean, I could walk down the street and trip over a bag full of money. It's possible. Not probable, but it's possible.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
true.
I would give the odds slightly better than that, but yes, to your point, I understand what you're saying.
You know,
Mhm.
it's anything's possible. You know, so yeah, I mean, the U.S. could beat England, but it's unlikely. Maybe, well,
You know,
maybe.
the one scary thing is this is not a team that grinds out defensive performances. And so we're gonna need them to be off a little bit. I mean, really, I don't know how. Like, England was not playing well leading up to the World Cup. They even got relegated in Nations League, right? So my thought process is I don't watch this team enough to know this for sure, but what if we punch them in the face in the first 15 minutes and get a goal? Do they start infighting? Do they start pushing too hard? Does everybody try and beat 6 people opposed to making that good pass? And do we grind it out?
I mean,
I mean,
if the U.S. wins, like if the U.S. scores like in the first 20 minutes, you know damn well that they're gonna park the bus.
you
And they're
can't, dude. They're not
How
good at
can
parking
you?
the
That's
bus.
inviting. That's
But here's the
inviting
thing.
mistakes.
Here's the thing. If the U.S. scores the first goal, you sure as hell better expect a response from England. And if you're gonna play England, head on, you're not gonna win. So this is one of those games that if they score, you better park the bus, because you know what? You're not gonna be able to compete with those guys because they're gonna be more intent to level the game and win it. So
Well, that's where this needs to be dynamic, like of an approach. Which, of course, Greg isn't going to be dynamic with his approach, but you do actually need to take it to them for a while and then lay off for a while and turn it on and off, because they're not going to expect us to come after them at all. They're going to expect what we got in Wales in the first half out of us, and so we can't do that.
But I mean,
It may not be successful. We might be down 2-0 at halftime, being stretched a little bit, but you got to at least try something different.
What do
You
they
can't just
do
sit
if
around
we
and
are?
get pelted.
What do we do if we are down 2-0 at halftime? By the way, shout out to Angus. What's up, Angus in chat?
I mean, I say wholesale changes and pack it in. Get ready to play for your life on the following Tuesday.
And don't go for it.
You basically, if the U.S. loses against England, you're basically in a position where you better hope that Wales doesn't get a result off Iran at the same time.
An impressive result. Something that you
Yeah,
can't deal with. Like a 3-0 number is going to be a very hard number for the U.S. to deal with.
Yeah,
Depending
not
on how
only
much
that,
goals. Depending on how much
you
goals
don't
these
need-
teams led up to England, right?
You don't want either of them winning this game. We need a draw to make life a little bit easier. We need a draw out of Wales and Iran. You don't want either of those
or
teams
at
winning.
least have Iran beat Wales.
I mean, just 1-0. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you don't want neither of these teams winning this game, honestly.
Because if Iran beats Wales, then the entire group is going to be decided on the last match fix for this group, and it's going to be intense.
Chat weighing in on Argentina. Argentina are strong and they are capable of better performance, and it's just not about Messi. It's about their roster. The refs were shit. That's why always everybody complains about the FIFA rankings. You don't know exactly what national team or how national teams are going to perform against each other, and the way momentum builds in tournaments that changes the way national rankings go, or at least FIFA rankings go, right?
Yeah, well, then again, you saw Spain literally took apart Costa Rica today or yesterday.
Oh yeah, they murdered them. Yo, dog, I'm at 4% on my phone, so thank you for letting me slide in here. Yeah, I'm gonna check out the rest of this episode. You guys have a wonderful evening. DPG, all the love in the world, my man.
I'm waiting for the day that we actually go see a Fire game at Soldier Field.
Gonna have to wait till next season.
Yep.
I mean, first game of the season if you want, dog. I'm down.
Those cold games. There's something fun about those winter games.
Oh, I'm about to say, you better not chicken out on me. Say, oh no, it's too cold for me. Dude, you're from Chicago. The cold should be like second nature to you.
I was born in
I
it.
mean, If it's under 40, I'm not standing outside in Soldier Field to watch a team get mollywopped.
Well, if you're with me, you can go hang out in the club section.
Oh shit! Is champagne and girls? What's going on there in the club section, DPG?
Oh, just some good drinks, yo.
I can't tell you. You know, I can't. It's
shit,
members
I was
only.
I was starting to
Oh, my
reveal too
God.
much.
It's a members only section.
I'm down to 3%, guys. I love you. Take care.
All right, Toke.
Take it easy,
Catch Toke
Toke.
out later on his own channel over on YouTube. Greatly appreciate Toke stopping by, talking to the USMNT. I love getting Toke on here when it's the three of us.
Yep.
We start really spitting some fire then. Chat also saying, speaking of which, what about Mexico? I really don't know if they're even good ever since that friendly game, and they called up like an entirely different roster, it seems.
Well, the thing about Mexico is that they're still trying to figure out their own identity. You know, because in previous World Cup cycles, you know, you had Carlos Vela, Chicharito. Those were usually the face of this Mexican national team. And both those guys didn't make the roster. So, you know, and this Mexican team looks a lot more like, more or less, that they're just plastered together. Like, okay, well, you know, we'll just put these guys together and that's it. It's like, it's weird because I never seen Mexico play without an identity. You know, and even in the World Cup cycle, you know, they finished what, third?
Yes.
And it was kind of like a mixed bag for them too. I mean, yeah, they got the qualifying results, but you know, losing against US in the US and tying 0-0 in the Azteca against the US, you know, and losing against Canada in Canada. I mean, I think the days where teams of being afraid of Mexico, I think those days are gone for them. They don't really, you know, the Azteca is becoming less intimidating, so to speak. And, you know,
They just played a
And I get it.
NFL game there too the other day.
yeah, and the thing is that this is like the first time I kind of noticed that this Mexican national team has no identity, and it's like it's affecting their whole entire system, club level, you know, national team level, youth level. I mean, they're not going to the Olympics. They're not going to the U20 World Cup. You know, so it's one of those situations where this is a Mexican team that's still trying to figure themselves out.
So they tied Poland, and whose game do you think it was to lose?
Honestly,
It was 0-0.
I think Poland, you know, kudos to Ochoa for making that save and the penalty. But, you know, I was watching a little. I didn't want, to be completely honest with you, I didn't watch the whole entire game.
Mhm.
But it seemed like Mexico was trying to attack. But it's just, you know, Poland has better quality on the ball. And it's, you know, they were able to make their chances count, so to speak.
Right. So Mexico's next match is Argentina, 1 o'clock Saturday, and then their final match will be against Saudi Arabia. They could definitely get a. See how I was talking about? All of a sudden, Argentina comes in, gets a win against Mexico, gets a win against Poland, and they're cooking on gas.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
Saudi Arabia has the chance for Mexico to get a win, unless it is really true, and Argentina is not right.
that's possible, but keep in mind one thing to keep in mind is that Argentina has Mexico's number in the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think Mexico has ever beaten or tied Argentina in the World Cup.
Oh, wow.
So this will be if anything other than losing against Argentina happens, then this will be a first. And we have to wait and see. And this game is also going to decide whether Argentina is literally broken or they're going to pull themselves out and get to the next round.
And in my opinion, if they pull themselves and get into the next round, I smell a fix. If they're in fact broken, then I take back everything that is alleged about them, because and Saudi Arabia, because to me it just didn't make sense what we saw there, and unless we get more evidence that is the case, then I'll buy into that. I'll re-buy into that theory. That or I'll exit out of my theory and re-buy into that, they're just off. Chat saying that, you know what, I give a lot of credit to Bale for that game against USA. They didn't quit. Also, Angus McWhorter checking in. What's up? Gareth Bale did not give up in that game against USA. They definitely did not stop running.
It wasn't one of those games where they scored 1-0 and that's it. It was one of those games that it was anybody's game.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't get that sense that the U.S. was going to blow out Wales, or Wales was going to blow out the U.S. This was one of those games that it was always going to be tight from the beginning, anyways.
Chat saying, it's Tokyo saying that players are in better shape these days. The altitude as Azteca just means so much less. Tell that to the NFL players who are all huffing and puffing. But you know what? They all got past it, like you said, because they're all used to going to Denver.
Yeah. And
Chat,
that's the thing too. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, chat also mentioning, rightly so, brother PKL saying there's Shaqiri plays tomorrow against Cameroon. Gonna have to check what time.
How come I have a feeling that Cameroon's gonna win that game?
I don't. I will put money on Switzerland. But that's a good. I know what you're saying there. Damn. Okay. Yeah.
Swiss team didn't look that great in the friendly.
Yeah, but a lot of the African teams are just not that good. Senegal, though, didn't they impress?
Yeah, I mean, Senegal is a decent team. Cameroon is hit or miss. Obviously, Ghana is hit or miss. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. So far, it's been a World Cup of surprises.
So that's 4. Wait, double check this game. 4 a.m. 4 a.m. Switzerland versus Cameroon. I'm not getting up for that one.
Nope. I'm gonna be sleeping. I'll read about it the next morning.
And you know what? That's another one. That's the same time slot that the Argentina Saudi Arabia game can't happen. So maybe that's the time slot for funny business. And there's the Cameroon, not funny business, but yeah. Or it's just like the time place for strangeness. Cameroon wins. I got a lot of the bets up. The betting favorite is Switzerland. Cameroon is not. Uruguay is the betting favorite against South Korea. And Portugal is the big time betting favorite against Ghana.
You mean Portugal with Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal?
Am I seeing this correctly? It says 4 games tomorrow. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. It's 4, 7, 11, 10. I forgot about that 4 a.m. game. In my head, there's always 3 games that I could watch. 4 a.m. game now. I'm sorry. What were you saying about Cristiano?
Are you talking about Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal team?
Yes, Cristiano. Yes.
The unemployed Cristiano Ronaldo?
The now unemployed. The divorce has been official. Manchester United and Cristiano Ronaldo have come to an amicable, not amicable, but at least a mutual quit of their contracts. It's over, and he's able to seek services of a different team, or at least a different team could seek his services. And Man U is going to look to pivot. And where do you think Man U goes with to try and fill that hole?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the times that I've seen Cristiano Ronaldo sit on the bench, Man U has played better. So, and on top of that, another thing to keep in mind is that I believe I read an article earlier today that mentioned that the Glazers are looking to sell Man U, by the way.
I read that too, and that some people seem to suggest did Ronaldo kind of force this issue? I'm not so sure. It's possible. The U.S. must depend on themselves to advance against England and in this group, is what Angus is saying. I think that they got to dig deep. If they could get a point on England, do you think that takes out too much energy, or that gives them the high they need to go in and get 3 points on Iran?
I think that gives them the high.
I think so too.
I don't see this. If we use Monday's game against England, I don't see Iran beating the U.S. And that's just going based on what I saw on Monday. Now anything can happen between now and then, so we gotta wait and see. And I believe they were also protesting. The players were protesting the Iranian government too.
Yeah. So how do you think the Iranian players might play against U.S.? Maybe there's something they're going to be feeling a lot of emotions playing against America. I think that Iranians will be feeling a lot stronger emotions against playing America than Americans will feel against playing Iranians.
Well, I mean, it makes good propaganda back home,
right?
It? If Iran beats the U.S. in the World Cup, it makes great propaganda for them.
Speaking about getting high, which I said, somebody said not getting, or being high up earlier, but Tokyo say that players are just better shape now. Oh, I think I said that. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, that's not just players in general. Like if the U.S. was going to go play in the Azteca, you would think that maybe the Federation might send these guys out to Colorado or Denver.
That's what they do now, right?
Yeah, they do have their training sessions up in the mountains.
What's up, Connor? Connor in the chat saying, "What's up, DPG?"
Oh man, here we go. This Columbus guy. Oh man,
Columbus Connor.
Here we go. He's gonna brag about Columbus Crew. Oh,
they're so much better than the Fire, though.
I'm gonna talk about the piss color team.
But what else did it? No. But the U.S. men's national team, he's. What changes do you think we're going to see from this U.S. men's national team? Do you think we're going to see a different striker, or I think it's actually going to be a lot of the same people, but one or two changes?
I won't be surprised if Zimmerman is out of the lineup.
Yeah.
I won't be surprised if Josh Sargent sits on a bench next game.
And who goes in?
That is a good question. Who goes in? You could start off with Jesus Ferreira.
When does Gio get minutes? I feel like Gio is not starting next game. If he got minutes last game, whoever got minutes this last game as a sub might be starting. Those are the likely starters.
That's the controversy with this team right now is Gio Reyna.
Yeah, he didn't get any minutes, so it's going to be a lot harder to start him.
Not only that, Berhalter mentioned, oh no, he has some muscle soreness.
Oh, shit.
But then Gio Reyna's like, no, I'm 100%.
Oh, he's not. But of course he'll say that.
So that's the big controversy, and that's the thing is, depending what happens in the next two games, whether if we lose them, people are gonna be like, oh, why didn't you play Gio Reyna? If we win them, then it's like, okay, well, Gio Reyna's an afterthought. But you would think that he'll be starting eventually or soon, eventually on one of the next two games, or at least get some minutes. Why keep him on the bench? Why have freaking Jordan Morris play instead of Gio Reyna?
In a game where they did not give up the goal when they put Jordan Morris in yet, right?
Yeah.
But still, they got a result, and there's a lot to be hopeful for, I think, with this team, and hopefully the changes are minimal. Yeah, maybe Cameron Carter-Vickers, like you said.
This is one of those games where you kind of wish I had a guy like Pepe who's in a very good form. And unfortunately,
that you can pivot to.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Greg, thought someone else was better.
It sounds like Haji Wright's going to be the man then.
Well, what did you think of Haji Wright? I didn't think too much about him.
Hey, in his relief work, he didn't do too much, didn't he? I mean, but then again, Josh Sargent didn't have the greatest day. He just had a solid day. He did a lot of work that for the other guys. So did Haji. They both did work for the other guys, but but they didn't.
Tim Weah was actually good though.
Tim Weah was fantastic, was he not? And so was Dest. Dest had a really great game, and I'm glad they probably played him to the max as long as they could, and then he needed some rest because I think he still has a little something he's working on. And then Jedi Robinson, I actually didn't have the greatest game, but he was so spectacularly solid. And Pulisic, man, just pulling on the streams. And then I saw some criticism for Pulisic, saying that he missed a couple passes. I don't know how you're feeling about that.
I mean, it's his first World Cup game. He's
Yeah, good point.
he's probably still trying to get rid of that 2018 taste out of his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, eventually he's gonna find his groove and then he's gonna take off.
Connor thinks that it's going to be the exact same lineup. Players look to Zimmerman and Ream as the backline leaders.
That's a mistake.
Ream, yes, but and
Zimmerman.
Yeah, no. Timeout. We're speaking on a recency bias with Zimmerman. Zimmerman was one of the best players in the qualifiers for them. Like he on the set pieces, we can't forget what that man did on set pieces for corner kicks. He was the guy.
Look who's in our qualifiers. We're not facing off against England or Italy or Spain.
Point. Look who's in our qualifiers. We're trying to score on Costa Rica.
We're scoring on Costa Rica. We're scoring on Jamaica. We're scoring on Honduras. We're scoring on Mexico. Come on.
You know what would be huge though for USA? If Harry Kane was out with an ankle injury. Nothing coming out of the England base yet about Harry Kane's health, and I know that he definitely tweaked his ankle last game. They said it looked pretty bad.
He's always tweaking something.
Always tweaking. So, but dude's a freaking warrior too. So
let's see what's the latest news on Harry Kane.
Are you looking it up right now?
Yeah.
All right, beautiful. And also the last game I didn't cover for tomorrow while you're looking that up is Brazil versus Serbia. That's gonna be at 1:00. Brazil definitely has that game unlocked, but I do think that Serbia is a team that could come in and and pull it off. Like they're a Japan type where Brazil is a Germany type, and I'm just saying I don't see Argentina as that same situation. The Saudi Arabians I don't see as the same as Serbia or as Japan. But maybe they are. They did really well in their group, and they say that they have a really good coach who's really good tournament tactics. So I also gotta present the inverse that I could be very wrong, and they could actually be very good and very well coached, and that could be the reason behind their success over in Iran.
Let's see here. I mean, a lot of the Japanese players play in Europe.
Really?
Yeah, I'm looking on their roster right now on Transfer Market, their World Cup roster. I mean,
Harry Kane's getting an ankle scan.
That's not good. Like, two of their goalkeepers play in Europe. One of them plays in Strasbourg. I mean, let's see what we got here.
Harry boost for England as Harry Kane takes part in training after ankle scare. Okay, Harry Kane trained yesterday, and England are optimistic the striker will be fit for Friday's World Cup clash, writes The Independent at 3 a.m. London time.
This Japanese midfielder, all of them play in Europe, except for one guy. So, yeah, this is not like a J League based team. This team is a lot of them. These guys play in Europe.
So that's why they're quite good. That's what we suspected.
Come on, they have guys in Arsenal. They have guys in Gladbach, Mönchengladbach. I mean, they have guys in Schalke. Let's see who else. They got Freiburg, Real Sociedad, Celtic. Was it Bochum? Bochum.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Bochum or Bochum.
Yeah. and Bruges.
Chat saying that Callum Wilson is Kane's backup if he's out, but Ivan Toney would be the perfect fit, but he was not called in. And a good number of the Japanese team play in Germany and Scotland, says Connor.
Yeah. Yep, they do. They a big chunk play in. Well, only one guy plays in Celtic. The rest play scattered around Germany and Spain.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure there's probably more guys that didn't make the cut roster that probably play.
And if you win your first game, you're 86% likely to go through. What if Saudi Arabia doesn't win another game? What if they do? Oh, man.
And actually, Japan's a good head coach. I mean, this guy in the last 15 matches, 9 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses.
Japan could make a run. That'd be
I
awesome.
actually would like. I will. Yeah, I was gonna say that. I actually would like to see them make a run.
Chat.
So, yeah.
What nations would you like to see make a run besides the USA? Japan. I like that. I don't. I want USA, of course, but don't want. I would love Poland.
Of course, yeah, of course. Someone, there's always someone. I would like to see Poland win like 3rd place or something.
Do all 3rd place teams make it, or is only select 3rd place teams?
What do you mean?
I thought so. All the top 2 teams in a group make it to the next round, but what I thought that some 3rd teams make it too.
No, they used to have a format like that.
Right,
years
that's what
ago,
it was.
and when there was less teams in the World Cup.
That's what it was.
Yeah, so they used to have a format like that, and I think they had one of those. The best 3rd place team actually will go through.
Saudi Arabia has been to the knockout round back when they were in America in 1994.
Yeah, you know what? I was gonna kind of mention that Saudi Arabia kind of was that one team that always made it to the World Cup.
So maybe I'm just not giving them the respect they deserve.
Possibly.
That's possible. I recognize that.
Then there was always that one team that you always knew will show up in the World Cup.
Interesting. Because they just, I mean, against Argentina, and they show up against Argentina. I mean, wow. And we've made a lot of points for why World Cup is just so different. There's just something about World Cup that, like World Cup games, that makes it that so everybody has a chance. I don't know if it is the great equalizer known as referees, but
Yep.
oh, for Thanksgiving tomorrow, got a couple good football games. What's your plans for Thanksgiving? PVG,
Yeah, what's going on?
you got any plans for Thanksgiving?
I don't know yet. I mean, it seems to me that everybody in my house right now has the flu. So
Oh shit! It's always
Yeah.
times like that sometimes.
I don't even know yet.
Oh man, you might need to. You gotta figure out something special. Like what's that movie? The Christmas Story, when they end up in the Chinese restaurant.
I mean, that's the only place that's open on New Year's Day and sometimes Christmas.
And yeah, and isn't Thanksgiving too? I think maybe they're open. I don't know.
I think one year my wife actually went. We went to a Chinese restaurant, but this was like New Year's Day.
Hmm. Ooh. Oh man, I'm excited, and
What about you?
I'm gonna be going with the wife and Mrs. Spitfire and our father, her father, and we're gonna just be going out the 3 of us to a nice little spot. I've never gone out for Thanksgiving. We usually are all together with my family, but circumstances worked out that it was that everybody's lives are changing, you know, as we grow older and plans change, and so we have to adapt and make new plans. So this year we're doing this, and then next year we're gonna be with the family, and then we're gonna be just me and Dad and Jill. I'm sorry, me and Spitfire, Mrs. Spitfire. We're gonna be playing some South Park Uno. I don't know if you ever played that.
No, I've actually never heard of it.
So it's very rare. It's hard to find, but it's Uno, made with the South Park license. It's real, and they have Kenny cards in there, and they have like dead Kenny cards in there, and then they have all sorts of stuff. And so we have specific rules based around like the dead Kenny cards and the way that the game is different than Uno regular, and so like it's so fun to play. Like if you get one of the dead Kenny draw cards, you have to keep drawing until you pick up a Kenny.
Wow.
And that could be brutal, but it makes it just slightly changes the game of Uno just ever so slightly, and we have a blast with it. That's fun. So we'll probably play a little of that, have some good grub, watch some good football, and then Friday don't we have World Cup tomorrow too? So we have World Cup football. We're gonna be in store all day. It's gonna be great.
See, I'm actually looking for that.
Soccer and football all day long tomorrow. It's gonna be amazing. I got a question for you. How are you feeling about this World Cup taking place during this time of year rather than summer?
It's different, but I do miss having it in the summer.
I miss having it in the summer, but part of me kind of likes it right now where it's at. Like, I'm wondering if it'd be awesome to do a November, December tournament and it just go all the way till New Year's. And then after New Year's, that right around there is the championship game for the World Cup. I don't know. It's just like, it's been easier to watch because it's been around Thanksgiving and the holidays and stuff like that. I don't know. That's been, I wonder if the timing suits everything better. Although the thing is, it interrupts all the leagues, and the leagues are like, oh, we don't want to be interrupted. Well, I'll say, fuck off. Because this is the World Cup. I think they should consider moving it to this and keep trying.
I don't know. I mean, I like having summer World Cups.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember this, but well, I mean, I don't even know if they do it here. But I remember when I was a kid, and it's crazy. Like, I don't think they did it here, but back when I was a kid and I was around, you know, I actually went to Honduras during USA '94 World Cup, and they were doing this whole plastic cup World Cup giveaway. So they would literally give away these plastic cups that had like the World Cup or specific group, and all you had to do was turn in like bottle caps. You had to get like a certain amount of bottle caps, and they gave you one of these cups. And I believe they did the same thing when France '98. It was like little fun things that they did with Coca-Cola. I haven't seen that being done here. I think the only thing I remember was McDonald's giving away World Cup cups if you order like a large size meal or something like that.
Mm. Oh, I do remember those promotions. Yeah, there have not been any of those.
No, I kind of missed that in a way, like those promotions.
Well, where are they? How come they steal a taco and you can go? They steal home plate. They steal a base and you go get a taco from Taco Bell for the World Series. They could do that for that, but why can't they do it for something for the World Cup?
Yeah. Like give away those like cool cups or whatever, those collectible cups.
And you still have to buy the drink to get it.
Yeah.
I do remember those.
Those were actually cool. I missed that.
Do you play Monopoly
I do.
at the McDonald's?
Oh,
Or you know you play real Monopoly.
yeah. I mean, I tried playing the McDonald's one. I actually knew someone that actually won like an Xbox
Ah, wow.
from it. Actually, one of my old coworkers. He actually he actually got went to McDonald's, got something, checked out, grabbed the sticker, and oh look, I won a Xbox. He ended up selling it because he wasn't an Xbox guy.
I am. I've been thinking about PlayStation and Xbox, but I'm good on my Switch and PC Master Race.
Yeah, I'm good with my PC too. Like that's my thing is PC. I don't mess around with the consoles anymore. That's child's play.
It is. But if you don't have time to fuck around with PCs, then they're the way to go.
I was actually talking to my barber. Yeah, I was talking to my barber about this. And we were both in agreement, like, you can switch out parts, if you're tech savvy, and it's not even that hard, especially.
It's not that hard.
All it is, what is it? You unscrew two things, and you unclick one thing and unplug the power supply out of the video card, and boom, you could do the switch. That's it.
Done. Like you said, it is a lot easier than they make it out to be.
And so it's, and people are like, oh my god, I'm gonna break it. No, you're not. Just power it off, obviously, and just all you need is a Phillips head screwdriver, and that's it.
Oh, your shit's struggling? Well, let's get some more RAM in there. Let's get more horsepower, baby.
The RAM is the RAM. All you have to do is just take unclick it and switch it out. That's it.
Double that RAM. Bam. You're good to go. 2x32s. You're set.
Yep. Yeah. Like that's pretty much what I got. I got 2 by my thing. I only have 16 because I don't think I'm. Actually, no. Let me double check now.
I have 2x16s. I got a pretty good rig, but I need to tweak it a few places because I have some weird. Sometimes OBS crashes in the weirdest times, but I have a freaking phenomenal. I have a 37 Ti. It should be like cranking.
Yeah. What CPU do you have?
I got the latest Adler Lake Pentium 9.
Oh, you got a Pentium 9?
I got a ridiculous. I got ridiculous shit, dude. I got this. I got some good stuff. What do I have?
Dude, I'm still over here messing around with the AMD Ryzen.
Pentium Alder Lake, 12th gen. Do I have a 7 or a 9? I think I have a 7. Yeah, I don't have a 9. I have a 7. i7.
i7?
i7, 12th gen, Alder Lake. Some great RAM.
What is it? The 12700K?
Yep. Sounds about right. I was just looking at it. What is it? I have an i7. Yeah, the 12700K. 12th gen.
Yeah, that's about a $350 CPU.
Yeah, it's held its value too. It was it's like what the newest one, got great power, blah 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 blah. It was either that or AMD something. AMD something.
AMD Ryzen.
AMD and Ryzen, yeah. But I was like, no, I'm a Pentium guy.
No, I went AMD, man.
You went AMD?
Yeah.
So you have so what's your graphics card?
So I got a Asus 2070 Super.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Trix, so it has 3 fans on it.
It's the 3 fan?
Yeah.
That's sick. I'm looking
Yeah,
at it.
I don't do the 2-fan because I like my system. If I'm gonna be cranking this, the video card, I want something that's gonna cool it off too. The 3 fans cools better than the 2-fan.
Really does. Oh, mine. Guess what I got on my
What do you got?
3070 Ti?
What is it?
3.
What is it? What brand is it?
Tough Gaming, Asus.
It's Asus Tough.
Mm-hmm.
3070 Ti. Let me look at it. It's all in black, right?
Sounds about right.
It's all black. On the corner it says Tough Gaming.
Yes, it does.
Let me see how the black backplate is. And it says GeForce RTX on the back, and it says Tough Gaming, right?
Yep.
It's a decent card, and it has like a little It has a little bit of RGB lighting, right?
Yes, it does. It has a little RGB lighting on the side. That goes well with it. It's constantly shifting colors. Goes well with my other colors.
Yeah, the orange and what colors does it shift to? Because I see it on the photos here. They have it on yellow and red.
Purple.
Oh, okay.
Yellow, orange, orange, yellow, blue again, blue, green.
Yeah, make sure you move that little notch to performance.
What little notch?
On the back plate, there should be a little notch that says performance or quiet.
Inside? On the machine? On the device itself?
Hold on, let me pull up that photo again. I just saw it right now.
I'm not gonna do it right now, but I'll do it when it's
Yeah.
I think
So underneath where it says Tough Gaming, if you look closely, there's a notch that says performance mode or quiet mode on the back plate. It should be right above your RGB lighting. See it?
notch.
It's in small words. It's in like small words. It'll say performance mode or quiet mode, and underneath there's like a little notch.
Oh shit! Wait! I see this. Yes, okay. Oh, it's in performance mode. Yep.
All right. Yep. You're good then.
Performance.
I don't know about you, man, but I actually ended up keeping my packaging for my 2070 Super when I bought it. Like I didn't want to throw away the box.
Oh, dude, it just feels so. I know what you mean. It did feel so good. Most of my boxes I did throw away. I think I didn't throw away that one though.
It's like, man, you hold on to that thing more. It's heavy, man. You holding power.
Dude, that was my biggest computer buy was that 3070 Ti. I mean, like,
Dude, the
boy.
GPU is always gonna be the. Like I always tell people, if you're gonna have a budget, I tell them, do you want a good gaming PC? Do you want something that's gonna be like mid tier? You're not gonna break the bank.
Mhm.
Well, put 50% of your budget on a GPU then.
And that's what roughly what I did.
Because if you think about it, let's say you spent $700 on $600 to $700 on a GPU, you could pretty much spend the same amount of money on a CPU, motherboard, RAM.
Yes.
Storage, the case.
Because that's the thing that's going to carry you.
Yep. And I'm guessing you have the Z790 for motherboards, or?
I think so. Hold on 1 second. Yes? Hello? 1 second here. For me? Thank you. Appreciate it. Miss Spitfire dropping off. I do not know what this is. Pumpkin bars? Pumpkin bars. All right. Little snack. Hold on, you were saying?
Yeah, so yeah, you got a good DPU, man. I give it to you. That's a good, and that's actually, usually with the 3070s, or it could be the 2070s, when they release these GPUs, you have the 2080 or the 3080, the 3070, the 3060. 3070 is usually the middle ground, or upper middle ground. I like to say. If you go TI, you're closer to 3080.
Correct. Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you're good.
That is how it goes. And they just released the 4080.
Yeah, and apparently that's not doing so good either.
It's not selling well, or is it not doing well? Not working
A lot
well.
of people that too. I know there was a couple of people I heard complaints about it.
Oh. It looks very powerful, and it looks like it's meant to run like that next Matrix game.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind that the only one out there is the what's it called, the Founders Edition.
Right. Oh, the Founders Edition. I wanted to get my hands on one of those for.
I just don't know how good those things are in cooling though, because it's only one fan.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I said, more fans the better.
Yeah, especially if you're gonna be pushing it.
And I could crank it.
Yeah, because that's normally like with these, like, because this is like the intro version of the video card. You kind of want to wait to see what everybody else does, like ASUS, MSI, what's the other one? I forgot. There's a bunch of different makers on video cards.
It was crazy, yeah, when I was going to get one, that there were that many. I was like, oh, it's just names. What do these names mean?
No, it's like, that's the thing though, is
It's the build quality.
the build quality. Like, the crazy thing is that some of these and people say, oh no, it's the same. No, some of these video cards, depending who makes them, has different performance level. MSI and ASUS tend to be the better performing ones. Not saying that the rest are garbage, by all means they're not, but I think performance-wise, they might be off by maybe like 5 frames per second. Nothing crazy, but and on that note, I think I'm gonna call it a night.
All right, DPG, it's been a blast.
Always, man. Take it easy.
All right, man. Good luck.
Happy
Have fun
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving too. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks. You too, man.
All right, guys. DPG signing off. How y'all? Ooh, what was that? That was weird. I am definitely excited for a full slate of football tomorrow. Soccer and football. It's gonna be absolutely amazing. I got something lined up first, by the way. I wanted to listen to this USA versus England preview from Allocation Disorder. Give us a little better idea.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to Allocation Disorder. I am Sam Stayskull, joined as always by my friend and colleague Paul Tenorio. Paul, we are feeling much fresher today, I would say, than the last time we were first.
As a fan, so
Let's
that
go.
was just fun.
Like
to
a decade plus, apparently.
Yeah,
by
I think
the
it's
way.
been since like 2006 or something like that. So, yeah, it was just
Almost
cool
2
to.
decades.
It was cool to just go and like not have an assignment and just kind of enjoy. And I didn't have any Bud Zero, but I had a good time. That's probably the one thing I didn't check off the list.
There was a guy drinking Bud Zero while wearing a giant donkey costume,
Yes.
which was incredible. A
Real
burro.
commitment
A burro.
there. No, it was fun, and it was cool just to kind of. Also, I think we got a good taste of the experience that fans have in terms of getting to stadiums, getting out of stadiums. There was a metro station there. There was a cab stand. We
haven't talked about the ticketing issue that everyone is having, where the
Really?
app wasn't working, and we had to go find the ticket resolution center and all of that.
Also,
Once we got to
bathroom
the
issue. They didn't have bathrooms on the walk there. They didn't have bathrooms that were clearly marked outside of the stadium,
Yeah.
and that is not ideal.
less than
Wow.
ideal. But, that's something that I would say is not that unusual for stadiums, even in our part of the world back home. But overall, a very cool experience. And that moment when Memo Ochoa made that save on the penalty kick was a very, very cool.
Doesn't sound like a very cool experience.
Emotional experience. The Mexico anthem also.
Emotional experience,
was
yes.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, you're
the
the anthem
game,
king right now.
I'm
love
not so
anthems,
sure that
man.
like
You're getting your socials
shit
going
sucks,
with you.
man.
Yeah,
We're
I think
seeing everything
I think
else.
2 of my top tweets of all time. Maybe my 2 top.
we're seeing everything else, all these other pictures from the World Cup, and it's just abysmal conditions there that these fans are even having to deal with. I'm not sold.
Half wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah.
I felt like the U.S. still created some moments in transition that could have been goals, could have been better moments, but
Yes.
they were in the game. It wasn't like they were like chasing the game the whole time in the
No.
second half.
I thought
And really, for me, again,
first
it
half
didn't
was their
feel
better
like
half, for
Wales,
sure.
outside of the 2 headers that came back to back in the 64th and 65th minutes, I didn't feel like Wales was that dangerous at all watching it back today.
Not really.
So for me, I thought that's why I still feel like it was a disappointing draw for the U.S. They had a 1-0 lead till the 80th minute. They had multiple chances to go up 2-0, both at the end of the first half and in the second half in those transition moments as the game opened up. They weren't able to do it. And then obviously to give up a penalty the way they did was super disappointing. But I thought, look, this U.S. team in that game, I thought overall was the better team, like on the overall side of things. Like I don't think it was like way better than Wales, but watching it back, I felt like you could definitely say the U.S. will feel like they should have won that game.
I would agree with that. And just to kind of peel back the curtain here a little bit, when you're covering these games as a writer, a lot of times during the match, you're writing a little bit to try and file your story as quickly as possible after the final whistle and after the press conferences and availability. And so both Paul and I, during the second half, were pretty busy writing. And so we missed a little bit of how things were shaking out. And I think for me anyway, Paul, like my impression of the second half changed quite a bit on the second watch. I thought initially that Wales were kind of, I think in control is the wrong way to phrase it, but they had sort of tilted the field a little bit.
They
It was
tilted the
definitely
field,
different than
yes.
the first half.
They didn't-
Don't get me wrong, bringing Kiefer Moore on, but the influence of having that target striker and the amount of long balls that they played into him and the amount of even breaks or opportunities that they got off of that, it was fewer than I realized.
Yeah,
I would
they
say.
they didn't play as well.
And I think
as
the U.S.
you think.
it wasn't as
second
dominant.
half. The Wales had a good second half, not a great second half, but USA were still right there. They had a chance, a puncher's chance to still do damage. Wales was definitely like the better second half team, but they weren't like busting down the doors. And we talked about this on our chat with DPG and with Toke about this earlier in the week. It just, Wales weren't super dangerous. USA were dealing with it. And really that penalty was a really bad mistake, because without that penalty, Wales isn't tying this ball game.
And if you want to call it that, they didn't have as much of the ball.
They just weren't that dangerous, even in the second half. Wales, I'm talking about.
That's what it was. That's
But-
what it was. They went from a first half of constantly
Yes.
being on the ball to a second half where it was way more in
Even.
transition.
Yeah, it was just an open game. It was out there. And the U.S., to your point, you mentioned this, they did have transition opportunities. There's been a lot
They
of
missed them.
discourse about that on the internet.
Yeah.
About the failure to take advantage of some of those opportunities.
It's their first
I
World
think
Cup.
We both have some thoughts on that. I'll kick it to you.
It's their
start.
first World Cup,
I don't
boys.
know, man. I mean, I kind of laugh because we hear from fans all the time about how good this national team is, how good these players are,
Right.
and how Greg Berhalter's holding them back.
Are you going to get mad at fans here, Paul?
No, it's just like you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. Like, you can't blame the coach for everything. And when we watched these moments back, there were multiple moments where they got into good spots, they were in good positions, and they didn't execute.
They didn't execute.
And, like,
The players
I go
didn't
back
execute.
to, like,
I think Greg
I said this as we were
Berhalter
watching
set
the game
them up
together,
for
Sam. There's that
success,
quote from
guys.
Thierry Henry, where he's talking about,
He just
his time
did.
at Barcelona under Pep Guardiola, and Pep's kind of idea was like, you get the ball up to the final third of the pitch, and then he trusts his team to finish the job in the only area of the field that can't be planned for. Now, it's a lot easier to trust to get the job done at Barcelona when you
when you got those top two players for sure, easily.
But the idea is, for me, it's similar in that you put the players in a position to get into those transition moments, to get into the positions that they were, where the transition was they were in the right spots, and then little things were going wrong. Like there was one.
They were making things happen, and Wales was strong enough to play good defense. USA definitely were set up for success. I feel like Greg Berhalter's tactics were playing off. We're talking about identities, and what is the USA's identity? Well, I think they had a developing identity. Same thing with Canada. They have a developed identity, and it just didn't work out for them today. Meanwhile, Mexico, as we discussed, didn't really seem to have an identityless. So we're going to be seeing a lot from these three teams over the next two games. I think Mexico was going to stay identityless throughout. I think USA is forging into an identity before our eyes, and we already has some of the USA identity in it, which was, that blue collar, hard work, gonna run you to death team. They got to bring that as well as the skill, and if they could do that, that's going to be next level. And meanwhile, Canada, I don't know too much about Canada's identity, but I did hear from Canada people saying that they played with an identity and it just didn't work out. And that penalty kick that Alphonso Davies, I think, missed, damn, I wish he buried it. That really changes the game. You got to take those moments. They were gifted that. And they also may have been denied another penalty that they maybe ought to have. I'm talking about Canada, of course.
One that springs to mind right away of the attack coming up the left side, Anthony Robinson. Pulisic plays it out wide left to Robinson. Continues his run. It's a simple cutback pass from Robinson back to Pulisic.
Just missed it.
Who's open at the top of the box, and he just misplays the ball. There's the one that came up the right side where there was, I don't remember who crossed it, but the cross went all the way across the box to Christian Pulisic. Right in his stride. Incredible tackle from the Welsh defender to break that up. I mean, there were moments where Christian Pulisic had chances to turn and run at players and maybe play an early ball that he didn't, or he chose to take the space and then couldn't complete the move. This isn't, and I saw people commenting on Twitter that this is a system problem. It confuses me so much, the idea that that's a system.
It's not, because the system.
I think that's a lot of people
quote unquote,
talking out of their ass.
The system. It was an open game and it's
fun to
transition
talk out of your
moments.
ass.
It's not even really a systemic thing,
especially on Twitter.
But they were getting. It was the U.S. was getting into good position. It's a lot harder
to see if these
people
have been wiping.
They weren't executing on the final ball or the final ball before the final ball. In a lot of cases, there was one moment that got highlighted a lot, where Pulisic received the ball in space, right in the middle of the field, and chose to drive forward. He had Tim Weah.
I know what you're talking about. I remember that moment.
He should have played that ball out to Tim Weah.
He was wide open.
There's a little bit of context. I think that the video maybe missed.
Maybe you didn't see him.
It wasn't the clip. It was a freeze frame.
Yeah.
The freeze frame made it look like he had his hips wide open and ready to hit a right-footed pass.
Changes.
That was him receiving the ball.
He still should have hit it, in my opinion.
Because it was open. It was there.
But
it was obviously there.
I think for the most part, for me, Paul, Pulisic was not like that bad. I didn't think. The final ball was lacking at times. But a lot of this discussion, too, is erasing Wales for me. They had a ton of numbers back.
Right.
They made it really difficult. They were good at getting
Wales had to change the way they wanted to play.
The box, picking up markers.
That first half.
Sorry, we've got some construction going.
Wales had to change the way they wanted to play for that first half. They did not play, and as soon as they realized that they tucked in and they were dealing with it, and even when they were dealing with it, you still felt that American goal was coming. That's how it felt.
Going on here in Qatar, there is no avoiding this all around Doha. Things are still being built. We're a few days into the World Cup, so just bear with us. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but if you can, apologies.
Things still being built.
Pulisic, he was missing on the final ball a few times. No doubt about it. I'm sure he would love to have a few of those opportunities back.
I'm sure.
But Wales did a good job
Might get
closing
another
things down
chance.
and making it difficult. And I think that needs to be brought into this
Wales is a
discussion
good
little bit more than
team.
it has been as well.
I will
Wales
say, like,
is a good
honestly,
team.
watching that game back again, looking at the influence in the first half and in the second half, like, I think for the most part, like, there were more often than not, you got Christian Pulisic in positions where you could get him the ball in good spaces, and there were a number of times that they did get him the ball there. I thought actually in the first half there were a few times where he got a little bit too crowded by his teammates or by the way Wales was defending. He couldn't really find the ball in the pockets of space.
I thought he was finding
wanted
plenty
to,
of space
and
sometimes, but there were those moments where you're talking about, Paul. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Created some issues with the shape on the left side.
Yeah.
But in the second half,
You think
when
that
things started to
Christian
open
maybe
up,
caused that?
He was on the ball in space
So-
quite a few times,
And they just didn't
Like you're saying, like those guys were crowding him. Maybe Christian's crowding them. Maybe it's the opposite. I don't know. Just idea. Something to work with. And maybe Christian just got to back up a step or something, or maybe they have to move aside a step, like you're saying too. Maybe it's a little bit of both. I wonder.
execute as a team like they should have. The first half, actually, towards the end, after the goal, and we were both saying this in the moment, Pulisic was kind of like, all right, feed me. I'm feeling this.
He was feeling it.
And the U.S. did not do a good enough job of that.
Yeah, there was a sequence where, for me, what it was is that Christian Pulisic plays for a team that has won a Champions League, that is often, a lot of times, has been the better team on the field when they're playing, different opponents, and they
Wow.
understand
Christian
how to
Pulisic
kind of
has won a
seize the
Champions
momentum
League.
and
They go for the
and,
jugular.
Yeah, they go for the jugular. And after that goal, Pulisic was, at one point waved his arms up at the fans. Like, he was fired up. He was ready to go. And he was trying to get more vertical. He wanted to go more direct. And there was a moment where he kind of peeled off a back shoulder of a defender and was looking for a vertical ball to come. I think the first time was from Tyler Adams.
Ooh.
And the pass didn't come, and he kind of looped his run back around and started again. There was a ton of space in behind the back line. The run was on, the
And
pass
nobody
was on,
found it.
and it didn't come. And the second time that it didn't come, he kind of
McKennie, the second one, yeah.
Yeah, he threw his hands up in the air like,
Hey,
look up, like.
Yeah. Find me.
And
I'm here.
and I think like those moments, maybe
they
a
gotta
little bit of
find
being
them.
a young team, and also like I get
Greg.
it. I get this the other.
Greg has to pull up those moments on tape and highlight those moments for those guys because they need to see Pulisic making those runs. Everybody needs to see each other making those types of runs because those are the ones that will create the goals. It worked for him at Chelsea. It worked for him in Champions League games.
Side of that mindset of like you're up 1-0 at a World Cup.
I know he didn't play in the final Champions League final. I thought Pulisic. I have to double check that, but I think he was available.
Like, let's not force things here. We're in control of this game. But they had those moments, and it's Christian Pulisic making a run in behind. Like, you got to find that run.
Being a young team, Paul, not just that. I think that's the part of that is too a lot of the players not being big players at their own clubs. And not being in those on-field leadership roles where they take a game by the scruff of the neck. It's something that these guys aren't really used to doing.
Yes.
And I think you kind of saw that materialize a little bit. I don't want to
Yeah,
make
I
too
mean,
much of that.
again,
I
like,
agree.
but like when we talk about this World Cup and we talk about these games, I mean, this game it's about those little margins, right? It's about those little moments of execution.
You can decide everything.
And you have a 1-0 lead. It didn't hold up.
Yeah.
Because of a little moment, right? Where Gareth Bale sees the play developing, gets his legs in front of the ball, and Walker Zimmerman goes through him, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. That changes everything.
Correcting an error, Pulisic did play in the Champions League final. He got subbed in at the 66th minute for Timo Werner for Chelsea. Who's the coach? Just double check. Coach for Chelsea. Thomas Tuchel. He brought in Pulisic in the Champions League final. They won 1-0 against Manchester City in the 2021 UEFA Champions League final.
Everything. So I don't know. We're being critical here of the fact that they didn't seize those moments, but I think also it's what stood out to us was it wasn't as bad in the second half as we thought it was. That there were still moments and opportunities for them to get goals
Right.
that they didn't. I thought they certainly could have made some adjustments defensively into what Wales was doing, especially, Wales was looking to go direct down the channels, and I thought there were some moments the U.S. could have backed off, tried to win second balls. But when we watched it back,
There weren't that many of them.
It wasn't like it was like this
There
constant, weakness that Wales was exploiting. It really wasn't.
And they did a good job of pressing to the point where they couldn't
was
play
a
them
good
more
match.
a lot of times when maybe they would look to. So
Yeah.
that in particular, I think was the biggest thing that I noticed in the second half that changed my thinking or my opinion from the initial watch. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out against England. It should be a much, much different game.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's going to be different, right? It's hard to, like, we were watching and trying to take notes on, like, what do we take away from this game and into England, and it's hard to really take much other than the fact that the transition moments are.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you say? Be better, do better.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
that's what they're
That is
going
what
to
you
be
say.
thinking.
To like sort of
Execute better.
circle this back around, do a big picture
Watch the film. Take to see pick your head up in those moments. Be aware of those moments.
discussion that we've been having. Oh God, I don't know how long now, Paul, but this team is a bit limited.
Course.
They're getting into
of
good spaces
course.
in transition, and when they get there, the quality wasn't quite there.
Right.
And that's kind of the story. These players are talented, they're good, but they're a little bit unrefined and they're not all the way there yet. And that is what at least I've been saying. I think you've been saying
You don't
it
need to
too.
do that. You don't
build up to this tournament.
You don't need to be refined. You don't look at what Japan was able to do. I mean, and if we're going to say that Saudi Arabia did it, look at what Saudi Arabia was able to do. I mean, you can put forward those types of effort. And really, America was one blown tackle away from us talking about them winning, beating Wales 1-0.
As the main reason why, hey, this is going to be a dogfight for this team to get out of Group B, and we're certainly seeing that play out now.
Yeah, I mean, I think, one of the bigger issues has been kind of production in the final third against quality opponents, right? Like, that's been an issue. They have the wingers, they have midfielders that can win balls in midfield and help create these transition moments. They haven't had a finisher at the number 9, and Josh Sargent worked hard, but didn't really seize the moment. He
didn't get a ton of. He didn't get a ton of service.
But they just don't have that guy at that position.
Yeah,
and so you need your wingers to do it. And I'm sure people are listening to this being
and
like,
Pulisic and Weah did on the one play. They
Right.
absolutely did it, and
For
it was
sure.
that like watching that back. That was a great goal. On several levels, that finish by Weah, he made it look easy. It was not an easy or simple finish. He took it really well. Pulisic made the whole play. So they did it on the one play. And if there's one thing that gives me a little bit of, I think, hope heading into England, it's that maybe there will be more opportunities to have plays like that, those quick transition moments, where
Right.
not even transition, but
And
those
recognize
vertical
them.
moments when they go fast. That's when this team's at their best. And Wales, they sat.
And now that having played a game, their first World Cup game ever, maybe they're going to get better at recognizing some of those moments in those big games. And you better believe that Friday's going to be a very, very big game. Here's the thing. This first game was a very big game. I don't know how much more emotionally bigger it could get than England, but still having the England come second after this Wales match, which already was a huge opponent, I feel like they're braced for the emotions of this battle, of what this game could grow into, and they might not get caught up in the emotions for that very reason, because what happened in the very first game, I mean, like, that's where the emotions were spent and expounded, and you get to feel the world of the crowd. They're going to be feeling like, oh, this is business all over again. This is going to be just like Monday, and when they're on the field on Friday, and bam, they're going to be making those connections that they might have been missing, and a little bit too much worried about the environment to be able to deal with. And as they settle in with their environment, play better soccer.
Back and it made it difficult. England, it's not going to be like that.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll talk about this here in the next segment, but I think, you know, the other X factor for me, one of the big questions I have
Harold's
going into the
wrecked
game
him.
is
Damn near
who
killed him.
plays. And like, you know, I think there's one name in particular that U.S. fans are going to be wondering about.
Who plays for
Gio-
England or who plays for the U.S.?
Gio Reyna.
Both. But
Okay.
I guess if they were talking about both, then it's two names that you're going to be wondering, are they on the field or not? One is obviously Harry
Harry
Kane.
Kane.
Both of them were born
Harry
in
Kane.
England.
And yeah, one of them is Harry Kane and one of them is Gio Reyna.
Yes.
Harry Kane and Gio Reyna,
Paul,
got
I
it.
think that's a pretty good way to take it into the next segment. But before we do that, any final stray thoughts that you want to get out there?
No, I mean, again, I was surprised by the way I felt after watching the game back. I had a much more
I felt very good.
pessimistic view of what happened in the
Really?
second half from the game
Initially.
itself.
I felt
initially,
good.
And coming out of the rewatch, I thought, okay, you know what, it wasn't that bad. The moments were still there, and Wales wasn't that dangerous. And
Yep.
and you know, certainly Wales was much better in the second half than
Excuse
they
me.
were in the first. They were much
Pardon
more
me.
aggressive. I think they took
They,
more control
they actually
of
like
the
tried
game.
to get out of their own half.
They took more control of the game than they did at any point in the first half. But overall, like 1-1 draw, like not an awful result. But I thought, still watching it back, like it's a disappointing result. Like,
Well, yeah,
overall,
it's funny. You feel more positively about the performance, which in a way makes you feel worse about the result.
Where is this?
Yeah. So I think that's it for me. I mean, I thought Tim Ream was good. I thought he was solid. I thought Serginho Dest was very disciplined, almost too disciplined. I would have maybe liked to see a little bit more from him in the attack. But if he's going to err
There
on
it
one
is.
side, err on the side that he errs.
This guy's
for
freaking me
sure.
out, guys.
Tim Weah is really good at soccer. Also that. The goal was great, but the chance, the initial build-up to the Sargent header off the post, where Dest played him over the top, and he took the ball out of the air, one touch. Before it even hits the ground, he rips across into the middle and almost causes an own goal. Incredible play. He's a pretty special talent in his own right. All right, Paul. Let's take a break. We'll come back, talk about England.
Get me out of here.
Harry Kane. He's cringing.
I should have grabbed that.
Stay with us, Allocation Disorder.
Harry Kane, what about it?
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp.
What
There are
about
times
it?
you figure out the cost 100% online.
Seeing the intensity, the passion, and the spectacle of the greatest tournament league match.
East Coast. How's that time zone breakdown? Going to be a much different game than what we saw against Wales. England, of course, the group favorites. Nothing that happened on the first match day of Group B
I'll leave that
changed
there.
that. England went out and beat Iran 6-2. We didn't get a chance to watch that game in full because we were
Iran.
running around ahead of the U.S.
They're
game.
gonna have a lot to prove.
We have watched bits and pieces. We've seen
against
all the
Wales. They
goals.
gotta do something.
How much can we really take away from that game, do you think?
Dude, they're
I
clicking.
mean, not too much. Some of the goals, I mean, the defending was so poor from Iran on some of those goals
Yes.
that you hope that the U.S. would not have those same problems, that they
Right.
are able to close
It
people
would be
down.
strange if they
Yeah,
did,
but the
if they
goals
just
that
decided to, hey,
how about the
Bukayo
goals that
Saka,
England
here's a
let up
yard in the
against
box.
Iran?
Just
Like,
have that for
were
like
those
6
mental
seconds.
lapses,
then,
or
then
were
go ahead and
those
shoot? That's fine. I
or
don't
were
think the
those
US will.
cracks in the wall that we're seeing? I mean, the goals that England led up to Iran were not good goals. They were great goals for Iran, but how they led, what led to them occurring, and the amount of control that England was influencing that game, it didn't make sense. And so, like, those cracks are there, and maybe those cracks are there in their best game too for England against USA.
Do that.
Yeah, I mean, what struck me is that the quality of England's players is exactly what we thought it was. Like they're very, very, very good players.
Okay,
if
Danny Green.
if you give them space, they're going to beat. They're going
If
to
you
beat
let
you.
if you let him off the hook,
Yeah, I mean,
you let 'em off the
I
hook.
think back, Sam. I'm thinking a lot of Wales because we just watched the game again. But there were a few moments in the second half where Wales was, taking advantage of the space that was opening up in the game. It was, back and forth, especially after the
Yeah.
goal. And
after the equalizer.
there were a
Yeah,
couple
you get
times
that?
where it was 1v1 in space. Serginho Dest at one point made a play. Tyler Adams recovered after Dest made the tackle. There was another moment where Tim Ream was in space 1-on-1. You don't want to get into those situations
No.
too often against England. It's a little bit different,
There we go.
quality level there.
yeah, absolutely.
So, I don't
Oh,
want
I
to
can't
see
use it.
Raheem Sterling or Saka going 1-on-1 at U.S. fullbacks.
Leave
You
it.
just don't want that to happen. If you do see that happening, it's
dangerous.
It's a situation
It's a
that
little
makes England
scarier.
happy.
Yeah.
It makes England happy. So I think the U.S. is just going to have to be a little bit more disciplined defensively in those transition moments. The midfielders are going to have to be very aware of their spacing. I think we're going to be talking a lot more after the England game about how the midfield played defensively than we are right now post Wales.
Because they weren't asked to do that much.
Right.
Yeah.
And in this game, they're going to be asked to do a lot. It's going to be a much different challenge for this U.S. team. They're not going to have the ball as much, certainly not as much as they did in the first half when they were up above 66% possession.
I think at a certain point they had like 78% or something like that.
It was insane. And so I just think, I think it's going to be kind of a difficult transition game to game here because I don't know.
Stylistically,
Yes,
wildly.
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know how much you can take away from your own performance against Wales that will apply here, other than like you need to be more ruthless when you have these moments in transition.
No, there's
because they're going to be fewer than you got against Wales.
Paul, there's loads you could take away from the game with Wales and bring into this game. First off, you played against a premiership level side in Wales. You know who you're going against? Fucking premiership in England. So you have, but yes, the bench is way deeper. It's way deeper than anybody. It's gonna be one of the most difficult tests this team's had to deal with. But this team has also beaten some very difficult teams. Brazil in the past. This team has beat difficult. Not this team, not this iteration of the team, not these players, but this team is capable. And when they believe, and right now the belief is actually there. I think that after what they did against Wales, they are buying into Greg right now. The most that they've ever bought into Greg. And that's the best thing that can be said about the U.S. men's national team. And if they're buying into Greg Berhalter that much, there's a decent chance that they could do something. There's a decent chance that the England players are not buying into Gareth Southgate. It doesn't seem like there's evidence to support that because, I mean, they just won 6-2. They won really, really well. Excuse me, buddy. I don't need your guff. No wolves in this zone, please. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you're saying that there's not a lot to bring into this next game. I dispute that. I think that there's so much from this game with Wales that you're gonna be able to bring in the next game. You guys stopped with Gareth Bale. Who on the English team is their Gareth Bale? Do they have anybody as great as Gareth Bale? No, they don't. They have a lot of great players. Harry Kane, but none as great as what Gareth Bale was, maybe. And maybe that's what I said was. There it was. So I think Paul needs to recognize that, though. So much to be able to bring. What do you guys think in the comments? What do you guys think that the team could bring in from that Wales game into the single game that Paul's dismissing?
Wales, and you're going to have to be very, very disciplined defensively.
Yep. And it's unclear as of now if Kane, England's striker, Golden Boot winner at the 2018 World Cup, will be available. He picked up an ankle injury.
But it seems like he will
medical
be.
Scans. By the time you're listening to this podcast, those scans might be out, and we might have a clearer idea.
I don't have
But
any
right
idea
now,
on those
we're
scans
unsure
right now.
whether or not he's going to be able to start or even play on Friday nights. If he can't go, probably Marcus Rashford coming in at number 9.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much down to Callum Wilson or Marcus Rashford. I think it would be Rashford.
Rashford's a great
Either
fill-in.
way, it's a different look. We'll see. I mean,
It's
Harry Kane took part in some regen sessions.
It might even be as
in
scary.
the game after he hurt his ankle, but he's had issues with his
It's
ankle before.
arguably as
I think
scary
they're
as
gonna
Kane.
be
Marcus
tough
Rashford
against
presents a
Kane,
different-
and England is thinking big picture.
A different problem to solve. He's so much faster. He just the way he takes it to you, where Kane is more of that hold-up striker, that primary target
Here.
man.
They're not thinking just about this USA game. This is a team that really believes they can win a World Cup.
Right.
So they have to approach any injury in that way. And so, look, if Harry Kane's not on the field, England, that's not a good thing for England. It's like let's not go out of control here and be like, oh, like this is a positive for the US. Like, yeah, it's a positive for the US marginally, right? Like they're going to get a little bit worse. But Marcus Rashford presents a whole different set of issues. Especially with the U.S.
Yes.
center back pairing, the one that started against Wales. These are world-class players. I mean, Marcus Rashford is really, really good.
Yes.
You know? So it's like, I don't want to talk about this like it's like a game changer. I think the difference is
Harry Kane, you can maybe just add one more really.
Right. And I think also Harry Kane, I think Marcus Rashford looks to get in behind the back line a little bit more often than Harry Kane does.
Mm-hmm.
And so it presents that challenge against two center backs who I would say, like, you don't want.
They're not the fastest in the world.
Yeah, you don't want those foot races, right? And I think you'll have more of those potential races against Rashford, which is not good. Yeah. But Harry Kane is still Harry Kane. So this is what we're talking about with playing England at a World Cup. I mean, just really, really, really good soccer players up and down the starting lineup and coming off the bench. It doesn't get better for you, you know?
Jude Bellingham was really impressive in the Iran.
Yeah,
Such
he
a
looked
wonderful
really
player.
good.
Again, we're talking about these things. It's
They
like,
have
okay,
Phil Foden and Jack Grealish coming off the bench.
I know.
There's more
And
pace.
Rashford.
There's more pace on the bench now coming off. If Harry Kane's not playing, you're bringing more pace onto the field.
Right.
They could do the same thing at the winger spot.
Yeah.
I mean, they can bring pace from any angle they want at any time. With guys like
Even Harry Maguire was
Foden
good the other day.
Harry, I know. Even Harry, I said that too.
I just think
even Harry Maguire is going to be just like
we're not,
way better than
I'm
people
not
expect.
opening up opportunities.
You're going to be thinking,
for you
it's
to,
like,
to go into
Manchester
Harry
United.
Maguire,
I love Harry Maguire.
I just think it's going to be interesting because the conversation, obviously, and deservedly so, will be around Harry Kane's availability. But I look at it and I'm like, man, I'm a huge fan of Marcus Rashford as a player, and I think he presents different problems and more problems maybe matchup-wise for the U.S.
Yeah, but the biggest thing is that Kane is better in the box. He's a better finisher. And,
Yes, for sure.
He's going to bury 9 out of 10, and
Yeah.
Rashford might do 7.
That's the thing. Is like I can't really say it's better or worse for the U.S. Right?
And
it's
Rashford on his
different,
day,
maybe, but it's
Rashford on
in
his
terms
day
of the
is
style, you mentioned the midfield, and
unstoppable.
they're going to be asked to do a lot more.
We need to have
defensively
a
than they were
career day
against
from
Wales.
Christian
That's
Pulisic.
certainly true. I think Yunus Musa needs to be a lot better than he was against Wales in a few different ways. But again, talking about that verticality, and I think there's going to be opportunities there against England in that way. Are there any comps you can think of for this team or a game that they've played in the past? Obviously, the level of talent will be a lot different than anything they saw in qualifying. But even just in terms of how the midfield looked,
Right.
winning a lot of duels potentially, looking to break forward quickly, is there anything you would draw a comparison to?
I mean, I don't think so, because this isn't even like, if you think about what this team has faced, they really haven't had these types of tests. I mean, the best tests with this U.S. group recently has been the games against Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And those games do open up, and they do create moments where the midfield has to win balls and get vertical
Nations
quickly.
League final in particular, but that was a year and a half ago now.
The difference between England and
Oh my
Mexico
God.
is substantial,
Huge.
especially in the
What is
final
this?
third. I mean,
Huge.
like, think about the names
We
just
saw it.
mentioned.
We saw it last night, Paul, at the game for Mexico
it's-
Poland.
I mean, it's you take Chucky, but then now add quality finishers in the box.
yeah,
right?
and midfielders who actually arrive into the box.
Right. So, I mean, again, you think about the pace on the outside with guys like whether it's Foden or whether it's Saka or whether it's Grealish or whether it's Rashford or, keep going down the list. I mean,
Sterling.
Sterling. They're going to be getting in behind the back line constantly. They're going to be looking to play those balls in behind the back line constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have Harry Kane in the middle of the box that can finish, or if you've got Rashford, I mean, it's just like world-class levels.
Yeah.
This is a totally different challenge than what this U.S. team has faced. I think you hope that they lean a little bit on their club experiences here, because Anthony Robinson played against
they
Arsenal.
have faced these
each other.
guys.
I talked
They
to
have
him
faced
about
these
it.
guys.
He
Alright, where are they
knows
shooting from?
who he's going to come up against. Tim Ream plays
Same
in the
thing.
Premier League.
Dest
And-
has played against a lot of these guys in Champions League.
Right. And you go down the list in
fuck, dude,
midfield
behind.
too.
They're
McKennie
everywhere.
has
I'm
played
getting
Champions
ding,
League.
ding,
Adams
ding,
plays in the
ding,
Premier
ding,
League.
Yeah,
ding.
and has
Pulisic
played
is
Champions League.
obviously.
Stupid.
Yunus Musa maybe not as much, but he plays in La Liga.
He's not going to be overawed with these guys. He grew up playing with some of them.
Exactly. So that's where I think
I agree.
you hope that this U.S. team draws from.
I actually, like, in a very weird way, feel
Right.
almost a little bit better about this game for the U.S. than I did about the opener.
Really?
Just because I think this U.S. team in
I felt the
particular, and
opposite,
the U.S.
for
teams
sure.
historically, usually
Regardless
play
of the
well when
result.
they're an underdog. They will be in this game. That chip on the shoulder will develop. And I think, they're not good when they're dominant with the ball. They struggle to break teams down in possession. We saw that against Wales. We've seen it a million times in the past. They're good in transition. They're good in midfield and winning duels. England will be hugely challenging in a million different ways. It's not going to be Mexico 2-0 in Cincinnati when the U.S. dominated physically in midfield. It's not that kind of midfield. It's not Ache or Andres Guardado in there. It's Rice and Bellingham and Mason Mount, or maybe some other guys that didn't play against Iran, who are just as talented and just as athletic.
Right.
So it's going to be a different kind of challenge, but I think the style of game is one that's a little bit suited for the U.S. That being said, England has all that skill, and if the U.S. is going to get a result,
I don't know if it's suited
gonna
towards the
require
U.S., but I like that the
Herculean
U.S. has
effort
got their
and really
emotions
good
out
performances from
in that first
basically
game.
everybody.
I think that this game
Yeah,
is the emotional
I
game
think-
for England. England's going to have a lot of more emotions going in this game than I think the U.S. will, because I think that Wales game was this is their first World Cup game. How do you top that?
I think going into this tournament,
England,
I felt
US
the
is how
same
you
way you
top
just
that.
talked about, like that the style of game against England would suit this U.S. team better, and that that could play into their hands in this game, and maybe it will. But when you sit down
But
we are
England
now,
can play that same style, and they're more talented.
well, that's the thing is like
Yeah.
when you sit down and you start analyzing this England team, you start thinking about the game, the players that they're matched up against, you start to realize just how good England is talent-wise.
Yeah.
And the quality of their options in the final third.
Yes, their quality of options
the
are just
conversation was
incredible.
like Harry Kane's out, and let's talk about the options here. And let's say that you're starting Saka. That means Phil Foden's on the bench. Jack Grealish came off the
we did
bench.
an exercise, Paul.
Oh.
If you could combine the U.S. and England and pick a starting 11, what would it look like? And we both picked 11 England players.
Yeah, I mean, because
11.
realistically, that's just the reality here. And
Realistically,
even
that's
like
what
with someone like
USA is
Christian
up
Pulisic,
against.
Think about where he falls on the depth chart of the winger spot for England. It's very similar to the Chelsea situation, right?
Very similar to the Chelsea
where it's
situation,
like,
wow.
okay, like, does he start over Sterling? No, he doesn't. And
He
then
might not even make the team.
you go
for
over
England.
that roster, right? So
Foden,
right?
Grealish, Sterling,
Saka.
Rashford, Saka. Is Pulisic gonna make the team? Maybe.
He might not
It's coach's
even make the
preference, though.
team.
He ain't gonna be starting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean that to me it comes down to one of these games where you're at a World Cup, you're on a massive stage. You've got these young players who I think tend also
Man,
to elevate
I'm
on these
so
bigger stages.
Paul, I'm so fired up right now. Man, England, USA, this is it. This is it. This is like the biggest
Let's
kind
go,
of game
guys.
for American soccer.
For
possible.
fans.
World Cup, Black Friday, incredible opportunity. I feel like I could run through a wall, and we're just sitting here at a kitchen table talking about the game. I cannot even imagine how the players feel. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back. We just focused a lot on England. We're going to flip it, focus on the U.S., maybe talk about some lineups potentially.
If you guys want to check that out, go listen to USA versus England preview on Allocation Disorder, part of the Apple Podcast Network, and I think other places too. Greatly appreciate Paul and Sam. They've been on the show before here on Spit and Fire. It's awesome having them on. But really enjoyed their perspective, getting a little preview for England, USA, and excited to see what is in store for us on Friday. What do you guys think, guys? Win, loss, tie for America? Do you think we have even a chance, even a remote chance to do anything against England? I think we do. I absolutely do think we do. With all the results and things that we've seen over these past few group games, how can we not believe, especially with the result that they got against Wales? Chat, thank you for watching Spit and Fire. Greatly appreciate it. Thanks for watching us here. Kick that like button. Subscribe for more Spit and Fire. Hit the bell icon to get notified of our live streams. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a happy holiday. I think I will be live. I'm pretty sure I'll be live on Friday at 1, just a little bit before 1 for England taking on USA. I might not be at the workout logistics. I might not be, so don't quote me on that. But you'll definitely have the alerts out here. So, guys, hopefully you guys are excited about that. If we're taking a look at betting, just real quick before I go, you got Switzerland at 135, draw 260, Cameroon at plus 425. Switzerland with negative 135. That's not bad money, I think. I mean, Cameroon is the African nations are not usually don't do so well, but then again, we saw what Senegal did without Sadio Mane, and that they looked really good. Meanwhile, you got Uruguay versus South Korea. Now, Uruguay seems like the surefire shot, but you know what? South Korea has a chance to make some noise there. They definitely do. Don't they have Heung-min Son on their team from Tottenham? Of course they do. Meanwhile, Portugal and Ghana. If you guys want surefire bet, I think that's the one. Portugal versus Ghana. However, you got to wonder, is there consternation? Is there trouble in the Portuguese locker room that could potentially lead to a draw or worse because of what's going on with Ronaldo? Or are they able to tune that out and they're able to go and try and win out and a World Cup for their GOAT, the greatest of all time, and tune out all that noise? I think it's possible. Got a lot of options there, chat. Those are the slate of games for tomorrow. And then you have 3 NFL games. So those games are at 4 a.m. So Switzerland versus Cameroon, 4 a.m. Uruguay versus South Korea, 7 a.m. Portugal versus Ghana, 10 a.m. Brazil versus Serbia, 1 p.m. And then you have, hold on. And then you have Bills Lions at 11:30 a.m. So in between one of those World Cup games, you have Bills Lions, Josh Allen coming to town. Going to be a blast to see. And then you have Giants Cowboys at 3:30. Jerry Jones really trying hard to recruit OBJ. Will Turkey Day be the day he signs for the Cowboys and reveals a Turkey Day surprise for the Cowboys and Jerry Jones? And also, Patriots Vikings will close out Turkey Day, 7:20 p.m. Bill Belichick probably going to be serving up a nice 6-0 pumpkin pie to Vikings, and we'll get to enjoy some beautiful football all day long, whatever version of football you choose. It's going to be a blast. I'm excited. And then come Friday, everybody. Friday, 4 a.m. Wales versus Iran. We're going to see how the rest of our group is going to lay out when Wales takes on Iran at 4 a.m. And wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't it be crazy if Iran pulls off a win against Wales and all of a sudden we have to pull off a win against Iran to get through? Crazier things have happened in the World Cup. Let's go, guys. And on Friday, Qatar versus Senegal, 7 a.m. Netherlands versus Ecuador at 10 a.m. And the final game of Friday, 1 p.m., England versus USA. Of course, Poland plays on Saturday against Saudi Arabia. France versus Denmark. Oh, man, these games are so exciting. Just reading these are jazzing me up. France versus Denmark on Saturday, 10 a.m. Tunisia versus Australia, 4 a.m. on Saturday. Not so worried about that one. Argentina versus Mexico, though. Saturday, 1 a.m. Circle that one. Big one. 4 a.m. Japan versus Costa Rica. 7 a.m. Sunday, Belgium versus Morocco. Should be continuing fine for Belgium there against Morocco. Croatia versus Canada at 10 a.m. on Sunday, right before the NFL starts off at 12. So that is going to be fun. Croatia versus Canada at 10 a.m. And of course, Spain versus Germany. November, Sunday at 1 p.m. Oh my gosh, I can't stop reading these games. It's addicting. It's fun. We are still in the early stages of the group stages of World Cup football, and it's amazing. The possibilities are endless. Everybody's chances are still here. Even if you lost that first game, you still can come back and win your next few games. You'd have to win out, or you win out and get a point. You have to do something. You just can't stand still. But if you lose this next game, if you lose 2 in a row, whoo boy, then things start to look very difficult for how the group could break out. I am excited to see how it goes, chat. It's going to be a fun holiday. This is what I'm saying when I was talking with DPG. I'm wondering if they should keep the football around the holidays. It's so nice to be able to have Thanksgiving World Cup games all day long. It's going to be amazing. But would we have World Cup games all day long if they were in America, or would they be more staggered at, say 1 p.m., 3 p.m., 5 p.m., 7 p.m.? And then they're really interrupting the day of football, of Thanksgiving football. What seems so nice about this is that you're gonna have basically 2 games in before football kicks off. The 3 games, 4 a.m., 7 a.m., 10 a.m., and then after that 10 a.m., you got the 1 a.m., the 1 p.m. game, which will be a lot of fun to see for all these games. How you guys feeling about? Let's take a look at who the gold scorers leaders are. The Golden Boot leaders. Statistics, World Cup statistics, please. I'd like to see who are our scoring leaders, please. Right now, 2 goals. There are 5 players with 2 goals. Mehdi Taremi of Iran. Olivier Giroud of France. I love that. I got $1 on that. I think to win 200 or 300. That's fun. Ener Valencia of Ecuador. Bukayo Saka of England with 2, and Ferran Torres with 2. I think that realistically, Giroud, Saka, and Torres have the highest chance of these 5 to really make a run at that Golden Boot. But it must be said for the top assister of World Cup, it's a man in his own category with 2 assists. Loads of other people have 1. Nobody else but 1 player has 2, and that is Mr. Broken Ankles himself, Harry Kane. Sounds like he will be playing, though. We're going to see if there's any updates. Harry Kane ankle. But last I heard, he was going to be playing, according to The Independent. Yep. Got more. He's training. And there's this 8 minutes ago. Pickford plays down Kane injury fears with the Dhaka Tribune. Kane hurt his right ankle after copying an ugly tackle in the game against Iran, but he's going to be fine. Jordan Pickford revealed Wednesday that Harry Kane is fine. Kane went for a scan on Wednesday after he hurt his right ankle, as we heard in the podcast earlier with that allocation disorder boys. But it seems like he's going to be okay, is what we're reading here. While England did not give an official fitness update following the medical check, we could basically depend on Pickford's words that he's fine. I think he's good. Probably a bit sore. Oh, this is what he said. He's fine. I think he's good. Probably a bit sore, but he's fine. He's out on the grass today, in fact. Obviously, Harry is an unbelievable player. He sets an example in the squad. You know, he's a leader, the captain. He's very unselfish, and we all look up to him. And in fact, everyone's training well and working hard. And when Harry came off against Iran, Callum Wilson came on and got the assist. That's interesting. So Callum Wilson came on and got the assist, and here we are thinking that obviously it's Marcus Rashford is Harry Kane's replacement, like for like, right? Not like for like, but that will be probably who would replace Harry Kane in the event that Harry Kane was not all of a sudden able to go, or if he, injures himself a little bit in the warm-ups or starting up before the game, which can happen. That happens every so often, but Kane is a warrior. So it would be surprising, to say the least. I think that USA has way too many yellow cards. Let's take a look at the discipline. Saudi Arabia, 6 yellow cards. Saudi Arabia has 6 yellow cards. Wow. Australia and Belgium both have 3. And where is the United States? Where the hell is the United States? Where the hell are we listed as? Are we America? Are we US? Guys, I swear, are we not on this list? Did you guys forget to include this? Guys. No, they guys, we're not on this list. Let me show you. They forgot to include us. I will show you this. Where is this? Boom, boom, boom. Yes, this. And then World Cup discipline stats. All right. Let's pull that up for you guys. World Cup discipline. And hide the game overlay. There it is. So take a look at this. There's no USA here. United States, America, and I know for a fact we got a whole bunch. USMNT. We had a whole bunch of cards deployed on us. Take a look at these lineups. Tim Ream, Serginho Dest, Weston McKennie, to name a few. In addition, Kellen Acosta got a yellow card when he tackled Gareth Bale, so he could saving a potential goal from half field. So interesting that they did not have that listed, but hopefully they get that repaired. Excited for the NFL docket, excited for the football docket. Oh man, guys, we're getting a hell of a week, hell of a holiday coming up. Thanks for hanging out and spitting fire, guys, and having a great, hopefully you guys are having a great weekend too. And a great holiday all set in store for yourselves. Go say hello to the family, go say some good vibes, get the good food. I know what you guys like for food. Give me some good turkey, good gravy, good potatoes. And probably my favorite, that would be stuffing. Can't have a Thanksgiving without stuffing. That's the number one. You know, well, obviously turkey, but stuffing, a little gravy on top of that. If it's some good, oh yeah, right? Turkey on the plate. What else would you put on there? I mean, I can't do the what is it? I don't think I could do those candied yams anymore. Although they taste so good. But it's like every time I do, it feels like the roof of my mouth is like caving in on stone or something. It's like, and I think that actually means I might be allergic. I might be allergic to the candied yams or the sweet potatoes. One of the two. One of them. I think it's orange, right? They're both kind of orange. It's one of those two. But damn, they both taste so good. A little of that brown sugar on it. Oh man, it's gonna be fun. And then just be able to sit back, relax with the family. And just and enjoy the day. It's gonna be a blast. And hopefully, you don't have Friday. You have Friday off, so you're able to take it easy and really just enjoy yourself. Gorge a little bit too much on food, and be thankful before the winter comes and gets real cold. Can't go outside as much anymore. When you gotta walk the dog, you're like, you wait a little bit longer. Or dog, though, you gotta take care of her. Nope. Can't put on those gloves, put on that hat, let's get going. And I think that this winter, it honestly has been feeling, I mean, I don't mean honestly, but it's felt brutal. It feels like it's going to be a brutal winter, this one. We already saw like 6-footer of a 6-footer of snow fall over in Buffalo, the point where it moved an NFL game, and that's all before December 1st. December 1st and January, which are like typically our snowiest seasons, right? And then you got March. It is going to be a lot. Canada, did they disappoint? 1-0 today. They didn't get that penalty. 3 shots on target from 22 total. Pretty good possession, though. 46% possession numbers. I know that Canadian fans were really proud of the effort that they put up today. They were disappointed to not get the result, but they had a lot to be proud of themselves, those Canadian fans, because Canada went out and performed. A 1-0 loss to a team like Belgium? Belgium is stacked. I mean, look at this lineup. First off, they got the best goalkeeper in the world, Thibaut Courtois. Then they got, what is it, Leon Dondecker, Alderweireld, Vertonghen. Those are their three defenders. Vertonghen and Alderweireld, very, very good. Castagne, Yuri Tielemans, Alex Witsel, and Carrasco in that midfield. Carrasco, of course, got a yellow card. I think he lost his head there for a moment. And we're not even talking about the best player on the pitch, Kevin De Bruyne. And we're not even talking about the former best player on the pitch, Eden Hazard. And then they got Michy Batshuayi leading the line for them. And they also have on their bench. Can you believe it? Where is he? Where is he? Did they? I don't see Lukaku. What's going on with Lukaku? Oh, he won't dress. Okay, so let's find out what's going on with Belgian star Romelu Lukaku, who will not dress versus Canada. Belgian manager Roberto Martinez confirmed Tuesday that striker Romelu Lukaku will not dress for the World Cup opener on Wednesday against Canada. That was confirmed. So AFP reported earlier this week that the Interstar would miss the first two matches, still nursing a hamstring injury. So they're not sold that Lukaku could go a full the first two games, and they just want to have him there just in case they go and make a run. They are really going to be leaning on Michy Batshuayi over the course of these next few games. That's interesting. Did not know that Lukaku was missing the World Cup like that. Did you guys know? Did anybody else missing World Cup, or at least there? But and you expect to read their name, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, but I didn't read their name. So where are they? And they're definitely were brought along. Well, they're just like Romelu Lukaku. He might still be nursing an injury. Very interesting. I'm excited, chat. I think that's where we're going to have to put a pin on it, and get super excited for this Friday. Got Thursday, amazing games. The calm before the storm. So many games you're just going to feel like, oh, how can I watch it? Oh, well, guess what? Read a book in between. Grab a, maybe, or only you're going to be with family. No, you'll find plenty of things to do. There's going to be plenty of things to do. Enjoy the TV, enjoy the football, enjoy the food, enjoy the family. That's most of all what you want. I think. Enjoy. All right, guys. It has been a blast hanging out with you guys all. Have a great evening. Have a fantastic Thanksgiving. Go USA, USA, USA. Congrats, Canada, on their first match in the World Cup in like 40 years or so, at least. Sorry, a shame that it wasn't a win. They didn't get the result they wanted, but there's always next game. Right now, you got 2 group games left, and you absolutely have a chance. What is Canada's next game? Let's just double check on that because I know I said it. Their next game is against Croatia. Yikes. That is going to be a tough game. Croatia is a tough opponent. Let's take a look at how they've been doing. Croatia tied Morocco 0-0. So if there's ever a chance for Canada to get a result in Croatia, this is it. Lock it in. All you Canucks, good luck. You hockey fans. USA, of course, plays Friday at 1, and Canada plays Sunday at 10 a.m. When does Mexico play? Next. Mexico plays Argentina on Saturday, 1 p.m. Wow. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. USA, Mexico, Canada. Going to be a lot of fun stuff on the docket, guys. Have a blast. Thanks for enjoying Spit and Fire. Thanks for enjoying the World Cup, guys. Good luck with all your bets. Good luck with all of your holiday affairs and all that good stuff. Have a great one. I will see you on the next one. Thank you, and later. Bye. We'll have a little going out music. Yeah. Crank it. Let's go. Inspiration to the top. There's only one time you're in the World Cup in a given year, right? Do the math. So make it count. Leave it all on the field. You don't get these types of moments often. I was thinking about it. Like, what do you say to these players in the moment to try and inspire them? Well, tell them nothing is promised. You can go and grab it. All right, chat. Go and grab it. Carpe diem. Let's go win that game, US fans. All right, we'll catch you on the next one, everybody. Thanks for enjoying Spitfire. We'll see you along on the next stream every Wednesday here on YouTube. Let's go. All right, fire it up, footballers. Have a great one.